This mind-numbing pain is setting his nerves on fire like it's dragging him closer to death. Gasping for air, each breath is just a desperate fight to stay alive. Stumbling against the wall, his limbs barely work for him anymore, making this escape impossible. He can't see why he has to be the only one suffering. One more step, and he trips, slamming hard onto the ground face first. What comes out of his mouth first is the cry for help, and he is Takamichi Yoshito, a bottom-tier challenger. This guy kneels, barely able to hold himself up, as this chilling presence approaches him with murderous intent. Towering over him, its vicious dark horns pierce the shadows, an elite demon. Rising to his feet, Takamichi glares at the elite demon. Having enough of this torment and belittling, he screams at the top of his lungs, asking if the big guy is having fun. Gripping his dagger tight, he refuses to give up ever, no matter if the world laughs or abandons him. Power surges through his body, and his red aura blazes his rage. He claims to have no choice but to move ahead, and that's when he charges straight at the elite demon. But before the strike, the elite demon's claws slash him and send him flying away. He crashes to the ground, finally admitting that it hurts. The demon looms over him, hands crackling with energy, ready to reduce him to dust. Still, Takamichi crawls, desperately reaching for his dagger. A little too late for that, a crushing beam shatters the ground beneath him, and the floor crumbles. He falls, but his fading sight catches the demon the last time. He swears on being a strong challenger, saying that nothing hasn't even started yet. The darkness prevails as he falls, and then eventually death takes him. So, this magic tower place looks to be a fancy, otherworldly dungeon that just pops out of nowhere across the globe, with zero explanation or invites. One step inside, and that's a full-on RPG world, filled with swords, magic, skills, and swords. Not to mention a crazy load of magic stones and treasures hidden in the Materno that is worth quite a bit. These treasure hunters, known as challengers, chase the riches, but they keep risking their lives each time. But here's the kicker. This so-called game, Magic Tower, has this distinct feature that means dying for real if dying in there. And just like that, Takamichi's eyes snap open, realizing that he died yet again. Knowing that this isn't the way, his skill, Infinite Revival, kicks in, activating with just 10 seconds left on the clock. This ability gives him endless chances to self-revive back to life inside the Magic Tower. Through gritted teeth, frustration burns in his eyes as he confesses to being fooled again. After high school graduation, this consecutive part-time worker lived his life in the same boring cycle of life on repeat. But then, out of nowhere, the Magic Tower landed, and he also had the opportunity to turn his life around and step up as the challenger. Magic stones or treasures don't come by easy, so to win the competition, he had to get his hands on this one-of-a-kind skill by using skill stones, which grant super abilities. One day, the opportunity arises when a merchant at the Magic Tower's entrance offers to sell the Infinite Revival skill. For this, Takamichi went all in with his money and loan to acquire a rare skill. Now his body has lost the ability to stay dead. But there's a catch to this, which is a brutal death penalty each time, as he gets a permanent debuff of 500 def. The revival didn't erase his abilities, but surely weakened over time. After dying multiple times, the damage is kicking in. In his first death, def went from 53 to 50. Secondly, ATK fell to 70, but third time, HP went down to 250. But what's worse is this debuff is totally random, and now his AGI took the hit to 60. Cracking up, he realizes this terrifying truth as if he kept dying. Eventually, he'd be left with nothing. In the Magic Tower, stats shape one's body. Losing too much of AGI makes the body heavier, and when that happens, the game is over. Right now, Takamichi is trapped and buried in this cursed skill. Another revival kicks in, but he is super frustrated right now. A second later, a blinding light hits his face upon his wake. His body feels heavier, so moving's going to be rough. But this time he isn't on the lower floor, or he is. Unknown location comes with a twist, as his eyes fall on this ultra-rare golden skill stone. That's gotta be worth enough to get him out of debt. Eyes determined, he pushes forward, but no monsters in sight, so an easy win. But a shower of knives stabs all the nooks and corners of his body. Again, Infinite Revival kicks in again, this time draining his STR to 65. Back to life, only to die again in another instant death trap. His weak muscles barely hold up now, but he keeps crawling to the skill stone. Just as he reaches for it, a dragon erupts to burn him into ashes. Another death, HP down to 250, but this time he finally gets it. Moving, this narrowed passing lures a challenger, who craves the rare skill and kills them with traps. This narrow way isn't a random path, but a certain death trap, baiting challenger with rare skills to wipe them out instantly. Normally, no matter how many lives, there is no chance of making this through. But Takamichi, the weakest challenger of Magic Tower, is surely pissed now. Knowing he has infinite lives, he throws himself forward, charging straight toward the light. Another debuff, magic power drops to 80, and then the technical capabilities drop to 55. His body is malfunctioning at this point, barely holding himself up. To make it worse, the death penalty sucks out massive VIT levels, and then RES 40 drops. With no connection, no way to recover, and his body falling apart. Pushing forward, there is no room to give up a window to breathe through. Just as his body reaches the permanent debuff of INT 60, he feels his soul soon fading. However, Takamichi finally grabs the golden skill stone, unlocking the automatic usage. And just like that, he acquired the skill inversion. Moments later, Takamichi is back up again, feeling stronger than before, but the harsh effects of the death penalties call for a status check. But this time, something is entirely different. Takamichi races for another brutal debuff, but instead he is hit with another shock that his stats have risen up to all positives. Completely stunned, Takamichi's negative stats have completely flipped upside down, which means it all turned to positives. Aside from the infinite revival, he acquired a new skill, inversion, that made it all happen. Apparently this new mojo reverses it all, buffs or debuffs. He is in shock that this ability transforms him from a weakling into a powerhouse, especially since he doesn't remember putting in any effort to earn it. A few seconds later, this empty golden box kickstarts his memory lane, and suddenly it all makes sense. He bets this super rare rock must have come with an auto mode. Now he's taken the plunge. He might as well say goodbye to his millionaire dreams and embrace a life of debt. Takamichi takes a few extra seconds to rethink, realizing that this could actually work for the better. With his new skill, inversion, he can undo the penalties of infinite survival each time he dies. Having this invincible load of buzz, this dude bets that his life as a challenger might reach new heights now. Determined to make it happen, he swears to become the strongest challenger ever to exist. While doing that, he wishes to earn a buttload of money and the thrill of fame. Aside from his big dreams, what's left is to find a way home. Around the pre-activated instant death trap, Takamichi is sure one of them might blast him away, and he would die all over again. That jumpstarts his nervous breakdown as he bawls his eyes out. Even after revival, the pain of death wouldn't just go. From being crushed, torn, and shredded into pieces, he is convinced that after a few more rounds of death, he will definitely become a certified mental freak. Keeping up the positive outlook on life, thanks to inversion which doubled up his stats, he is confident in taking the death traps head on. Although he wouldn't mind a different option, nothing goes his way already, and he is left with no choice but to give this a try. Without wasting another breath, he jumps into action head first, ready to meet his fate. A shower of flesh-piercing arrows heads his way really close, but this time it's different. Takamichi, with his X-ray vision, can totally spot their trajectory, and he dodges the attack like a pro. That took him by surprise, but there was no time to hesitate but to pick up the pace. He sprints ahead, walking over every death trap, then dashes forward, twisting into a full-blown 360-degree spin. Pulling off crazy moves, he leaps straight at the dragon, just as it's about to blast him with fire. But before it can, his kick smashes right into its face. Moving like a total ninja, he knocks away a rain of daggers, and that's when it hits him. Infinite revival and inversion might just make him the strongest challenger out there. Takamichi glances up at the ceiling, realizing just how far it is, something that would have seemed impossible for his old self. But now, his launch cracked the floor, and he leaped in the air. That's when the elite demon decides to show up, and Takamichi is ready to face this dude now. One clash to pump up a thrill. Takamichi dares to ask this rock-face creep if he wants to try killing him again. That sets the guy off, sending him into a full-blown rage. But this time, Takamichi is ready to roll against this one-life demon. Giving off a smirk, he wonders how long the elite demon can keep up against his infinite revivals. 0. Charging in full speed ahead, the elite demon is about to face Takamichi head-on. Gripping his blade tight, this dude's confidence is off the charts, and he dodges the blows like a pro. With a few strikes at the elite demon, Takamichi figures out that his new stats have already leveled up his power, enough to take down the rock-face creep. Takamichi wouldn't give the big guy a chance to react, landing multiple blows in an instant, which totally catches Rocky off guard. With such confidence, he declares that this rock-face creep doesn't scare him anymore. The elite demon never saw it coming, but Takamichi's brutal kick to the face probably settled some of their scores. Now, with victory belonging to Takamichi, a sudden surge of purple lightning heading his way ruins the moment. He barely dodges it in time, realizing the elite demon isn't down just yet. Rocky's mood is definitely off now, and he might just try to fry Takamichi next. But Takamichi quickly realizes this guy isn't some random third-floor anomaly. Keeping the floor levels in check, he knows as the floors go higher, the monsters only get tougher and more brutal. Seeing by the levels, the third floor's location designates a safety zone as the lower floor, which should be filled with weak monsters. It just doesn't settle right with Takamichi, who has no clue why Elite Demon has entered the third floor. With his stats way high, he's still got a shot to take down this freak. Besides that, Rocky finds it odd that Takamichi isn't as strong as he should be compared to the top challengers. But it's already weird enough to run into someone like him on this floor that he hasn't heard of already. Locked in battle, trading blows, Rocky suddenly jumps a mile high, sending chills down Takamichi's spine. However, Takamichi, eyes sharp as daggers now, demands to know who the heck he really is. But this ominous aura flowing out of Rocky looks troubling enough. He half expects him to be mute, but Rocky flexes his overwhelming strength. However, the Elite Demon has no idea what sort of exponentially strong being he is about to face. No more talking, as it's time for Takamichi to settle this once and for all. The elite demon stands firm, gripping two crackling purple energy orbs, ready to strike. Narrowing his eyes, Takamichi notices this guy isn't holding back anymore, using both hands for maximum power. Now this battle has started to heat up, and the elite demon is boiling off fumes, ready to get this over with. Takamichi takes the hint of Rocky's decision to go all out. With zero hesitation whatsoever, Rocky unleashes his fury by launching his attack, sending massive multiple strikes that shatter the floor into dust and rubble. While Takamichi sprints like crazy when being at fall risk, Rocky swings his ominous blade at him. But Takamichi catches on quickly and blocks his sneaky blow. However, the elite demon is one step ahead this time, secretly holding back another energy blast. He is ready to strike when Takamichi least expects it, and now's the time to roll it. Takamichi knows that he is done for. One piercing blow, and he dies. Moments later, the death penalty sucks out his debuff of STR-40. A second later, inversion took care of it, adding up to STR-40+. Rising from the dead, Takamichi seizes this perfect chance for payback by landing a sneaky hit from the back. The elite demon didn't see this coming. That said, the clash of swords yet again, but Takamichi's fury is skyrocketing. He didn't like his deathly suffering, as it still hurts like hell. Jumping high, he swings his broken blade to land a finishing blow. This man goes ballistic at the elite demon, who looks to be having trouble now. With his strength leveling up, Takamichi finally feels confident that his odds of winning are looking far better than ever. But it's still not enough to deal with this rock-face creep, as he lands a hit again. Again, the demon's overwhelming power play kills Takamichi again, draining his debuff of AGI 60. However, inversion adds up the fuel, powering up his stats. With his agility leveling up, there's a sense of calm to Takamichi's inner storm. Though he gives Rocky some credit for lasting this long, Takamichi doesn't hesitate. In a flash, he surges forward at full speed and drives his blade straight into the elite demon. That stab carves a deep hole in its gut, and Takamichi declares this to be the end for Rocky. With a sigh, he mutters that Rocky never stood a chance with his one-life subscription, while Takamichi is gifted with infinite revivals. But then a thought lingers in his mind. He hopes to come across the elite demon again someday, even if it gains the infinite revives. Upon next time, he would like a fair fight with this fool. Afterward, Takamichi gasps for air, finally getting a moment to breathe as he collapses to the floor. He is surprised that he actually managed to take the guy down. Even after his power boost, the fact that he died twice to that rock still stings. Then, his eyes fall on his tattered blade, just as it suddenly shattered right before his eyes. Clenching his fist, he claims to be needing a sturdier sword. Meanwhile, he thinks of selling the magic stones which might earn him some bucks to buy a new weapon. At the magic tower, Hermes, first floor's safe area, Takamichi knows that each floor's entrance got a safe section where no monsters can flap their wings. That's the place for the adventurers to chill and relax. Plus, when exploring the magic tower, it's all about who gets their hands on the best equipment and items first. Not only that, the safe area reeks of many stalls to buy and sell those items. Afterward, Takamichi gets his hands on the silver sword. When knowing it won't break easily, Takamichi is all for it, although he sheds a few tears for losing almost all his magical stone to buy this. Right then, he shakes himself up, pushing aside the grave thoughts of poverty. He is determined to put his full focus on rising to the top from here on out. Further on, Takamichi notices something strange up ahead. As it turns out, the whole zone erupts in whispers about Takamichi's downfall. They pity this idiot for being fooled into buying the infinite revival skill. Everyone's busy gossiping about his so-called tragic story and loving the drama of a poor guy. Checking out the whole fuss, Takamichi learns that he got labeled as the pitiful challenger who got scammed with a trash skill. Though he casually mentions that he wouldn't have minded a little heads up before getting tricked. Much to their dismay, the infinite revival turned out to be a God-gifted eternal subscription to life when combined with inversion. Not to mention his inner monologue won't stop hyping him up after all. He is the only one who can master this insane combo of skills. Though he feels like his skills are insanely cool, his moment gets totally wrecked when some show-off drops by, bragging about taking on the mid-boss room on the 5th floor. Takamichi instantly recognizes the guy, Dominator Nogishi. Just like that, his mood is completely ruined. The title, Dominator, is awarded to those who challenge the boss room at the very top of the magic tower. Once the boss is defeated, the entire tower vanishes, and the victor gets to equip a powerful piece of gear. Moreover, the Dominators bestowed with ordinary challengers sucking up to their bums, standing at the peak of strength and prestige. But in Nogishi's case, Takamichi finds this goofball is a bit of a mood breaker. Right then, his attention breaks, and eyes fall on Blondie with a nasty attitude. Seki Amana, a challenger of level 15, argues with Nogishi, mocking him as nothing more than a so-called gloater from the low-tier challenges of the magic tower. In her eyes, anyone could muster up the guts to do what he did. The other girl, her sidekick, Shiramachi Yuri, challenger level 13, tells her to chill out. She straightened up with this scumbag that they dug up the mid-boss room first. Not to mention, they won't be letting this bunch of scums, led by the fake Dominator, steal their load of rewards after clearing the dungeons. Yuri gets the idea that Mana's words carry enough weight, but Yuri thinks to let Nogishi handle the dangers from here on out. That strikes Blondie's nerves, and Nogishi, with a smug face, likes how this fuss got settled on its own. He commands the little girls to quit their blabber and just watch the show, as he rightfully claims the rare equipment bestowed upon him as the Dominator. Right after that, the scumbag smugly reveals a super rare item, Aegis Mimesis, a shield that can nullify any type of attack. As eerie laughter fills the air, the little girl simply lets the scoundrels bask in their moment of glory for now. Out of the blue, Takemichi catches up to Yuri and Mana, and Nogishi hears this little chum's entrance. He couldn't hold his laughter to notice Yoshito got robbed by that scummy merchant who tricked him into buying such a trashy skill. He yells out how pitiful it is to be played. With a sigh, Yoshito asks Mana and Yuri to give it up and let Nogishi have at it. They can't believe even Yoshito is siding with the brainless rats. That's when Takemichi rolls his dice to announce his next plans. Turns out this dude, clearly suffering from protagonist syndrome, has finally decided to challenge the boss room at the top. He plans to drag Yuri and Mana along for the ride. Not to mention, he claims to have finished that fuss at the top much quicker than Nogishi to settle the scores. While Takemichi drops a mic-worthy statement, Blondie and Yuri are completely surprised. Despite their shock, he is confident of coming up with a plan to score a win. Suddenly, Nogishi is close to landing a hit on Takemichi for pissing him off. But Takemichi takes less than a second to dodge and slam the guy on the ground. Narrowing his eyes, he asks Nogishi if he likes rolling on the ground or what. Nogishi's lackeys rush to assist their boss, who has no clue what just happened. Now that everyone's gathered, Takemichi casually mentions that he is just checking out the Dominator's so-called great skill for challenging the mid-boss. With that out of the way, he turns to Mana and Yuri, asking if they are coming as he walks out. At the Magic Tower Hermes' 4th floor, Nogishi's gang alongside Mana, Yuri, and Yoshito heads out to deal with boss room at the top. On their way, Mana sneakily questions Yoshito's choice to follow Nogishi, knowing that the scumbag is more of a weakling. Even Yuri is highly concerned about what monsters await them up ahead. Even after battling the strong ones, she worries about what's next if they get into a fight. But Yoshito's carefree mindset throws them off, as he means that everything will go fine. Knowing Yoshito's level 8, Mana and Yuri's concern sounds pretty legit, and he met these girls at the Magic Tower. However, after putting aside his low level, they got no clue about Yoshito's current stats. His inner monologue hyped up inside. He totally believes that he will overtake everything in his sight with this new power-up. Suddenly, Nogishi turns to check if Yoshito can handle the assignment against the small fries, while he shows off his skills against the mid-boss. But Yoshito can't shake off Nogishi's last panic attack, as he was close to chickening out, but the scumbag has put himself together somehow. All of a sudden, they all sense a disturbance, and there's a monster about to hammer Nogishi. Thanks to Aegis Mimesis, he blocks the deadly blow that took him by surprise and slams the freak away. As it turns out, the lizard man is out to end Nogishi's chapter here. Nogishi's self-TED talk starts, as he assures his body that can totally take this on. Aside from that, Yoshito's head spins like crazy as he practically detects something is off about this place. He tells Nogishi to hold it right there. Just then, he spots a shower of lizard man from above, catching them off guard. Nogishi's is practically thrown off to see dozens of them. Out of nowhere, the red lizard man amongst many blue lizard man walks towards them. He turns out to be the lizard commander of a superior species of lizard man, ruling the swarm. Without further ado, he tells his minions to finish off the challengers. While Yoshito's mischievous grin settles to pull off a big massacre, Mana orders Yuri's assistants to protect Yoshito at all costs. That catches him off guard. He tries telling the ladies that he got this covered, but Mana tells the lad to quit acting like a tough guy. Mana admits that no way in hell Yoshito can take on these guys, while Yuri straight up tells Yoshito to fall back, as it's not his day to shine. Just like that, the girls jump into the battle. Sweating bullets, he tries telling the idiots to hear him out. Amidst all this ruckus, he finally sinks into this trashy feeling of being seen as a liability. In the meantime, Nogishi faces the lizard commander, who has turned Nogishi into a punching bag. The commander sends Nogishi flying like a rocket with his finishing blow. A sudden click takes everyone by surprise, and Yoshito is quick to realize that it's a trap. But a little too late even for him, as he is the one who is falling into it. He questions his fate, why him and not Nogishi? Hermes is loaded with deadly traps, but Yoshito finally remembers that this lowly stuff can't do any wrong to him anymore. Like a wild beast, Yoshito zaps out of that hellhole, only to end up surrounded by many lizard commanders. With no exit, he has no choice but to face this. Time to put a stop to the constant humiliation. Wielding his new blade, Yoshito is all set to cut through these sickening traps and push forward. Still, suffering from the protagonist syndrome, he doesn't give a damn how many. Though he desires to put his new sword on the test drive. This dude is dead focused on making the lizard folks regret the day for plotting this. Right then, he cuts down 2 in a single strike, blazing out of sight as he dashes toward more enemies. Thus, he is definitely out to show what they have brought in here. Having a look around, Yoshito spots these high-ranking lizard folks who were totally out of his league until recently. Just about now, a lizard commander jumps into action to end Yoshito's chapter. This stunt doesn't even faze him. Gripping his sword tight, Yoshito, calling upon his inner demons, slashes the lizard in half. With his newfound confidence, Yoshito is sure that he can take them all down now, and so he does. Just as lizard folks jump at him in sync, Yoshito, unfazed, strikes them all down. It's a total bloodbath in here. Yoshito's eyes glow red as he is ready to settle the scores of his countless deaths. He mocks the wimps hiding in the shadows only to ambush him later, just as he falls into their trap. Now that he is here, he gives out a full-on invite, daring the whole crowd to even try getting a scratch on him. That does it. The lizard folk are super pissed now. Instantly, a whole swarm of them charges at him at full speed. With no turning back, he dashes ahead to end this sooner. He is convinced of taking down this many in no time. Just like that, he splits everyone in half, making this place painted in blood. With unwavering confidence, he declares that he is no longer someone who is a liability or needs protection. Looking there, the lizard folks are having some serious chills now. Yoshito can practically smell their fear from afar. Looking through his demonic eyes, he figures their fear of death, since he already had countless experiences on that end. But he assures the dummies that he would give them the luxury of making it quick and painless. Moments later, Yoshito sighs as he wipes them out. Soon, he searches for the stairs to head back up. Like the chillest dude, he bursts in through the door, gasping for breath. Everyone's too stunned for him to be in one piece. Doing a full exam, Yuri clears this guy for having no injuries so far. She finally sighs in relief, like she is a motherly maiden. While Yuri blabbers about how she regrets not coming to his heir, stuck with no way down. Mana, in total disbelief, can't believe this guy managed to survive and didn't face any monsters down there. When asked, this dude couldn't have the heart to spill the truth. So, he gives out a flat no, revealing that he just got lucky, aside from the pile of dead lizards he left there. Meanwhile, Yoshito focuses on Nogishi's gang, who are nowhere to be found. Through Mana, he finally learns that Mana took down the lizard men somewhere. Nogishi headed to the boss room, considering Yoshito died in that fall. Mana knew Nogishi triggered the trap that almost killed Yoshito, as this thought gets on her nerves. Yoshito tells this firecracker to chill, as this is totally expected by that scum. Without further ado, Yoshito thanks Mana and Yuri for always looking out for him no matter what. That cheers them up pretty much. Afterward, Yoshito asks the ladies to speed up as it's still time to catch the big show. Out of nowhere, the undefeated lizard commander steps up, and Yoshito gets alarmed. Turns out Nogishi failed to finish it off. Unbeknownst to the ladies, the lizard commander is inches away from killing Yuri. Pretty close. Yuri couldn't notice the lizard commander's second comeback, and even Mana was late to react. With no time to waste, Yoshito flashes at full speed, leaving cracks on the floor which catches Mana off guard. He fully manages to block lizard commander's attack just in time. Utterly horrified to be at such close distance to death, Yuri's face screams horror. Meanwhile, Mana is pissed off for having a reptile sneak up on them like that. She declares to handle this one. And just like that, her dual swordplay finished it off. Yoshito was pretty close to taking out his sword, but that wasn't needed at all, thanks to Mana's quick thinking. He notices Yuri's aftershock panic attack, and then she cutely thanks Yoshito for rescuing her in time. After all that's done, Mana, the quick-witted lady, points out how Yoshito managed to react this quickly. Their face was etched with a wicked smirk. He lets them know that he might come in handy after all. While the ladies process that remark, Yoshito's inner monologue kicks in. He finally realizes that he is free from being the deadweight. At the Magic Tower, Hermes' 5th floor, they finally make it there in one piece. On his way, Yoshito swipes open his log screen, seeing the new upgrade to level 10. After wiping out dozens of the lizard commanders, he notices his improved status from leveling up isn't buff or debuff, which might not be affected by inversion. Moreover, Yoshito noticed that the boost in his stats wasn't small at all. Meanwhile, the girls chat excitedly about their new gear while he flinches in the corner. His ATK increase from the inverted death penalty is 65, while his natural ATK increase is just 2 after inversion. The sheer difference in numbers is insane. This instant combo of skills is practically overpowering. Out of the blue, Yuri calls his attention, showing something strange has come up. Thus it's the room of the 5th floor mid-boss. Just then, Mana states Hermes consists of 10 floors, which makes them halfway up the tower by now. Furthermore, they claim to be the very first ones to come across this. Taking a look back, Mana's big vein in the head pops, just as she recalls running into Nogishi's gang in the middle of their prep. Just a mere thought ticks her off. Yuri is quick to calm this fierce lady. Ignoring her rants, Yoshito gets their focus back on the boss room and Nogishi's gang. Bursting the door open, Yoshito reminds the ladies that a mid-boss isn't something to take lightly, as it needs to be handled seriously. Stepping in, his body could feel the stress lingering inside. Just then, a man's body gets yanked out of the way. Yoshito's face screams horror to spot some dude slamming right to the wall. That's when Nogishi takes notice of Yoshito's arrival, asking him to see this mid-boss ruling this room, though he didn't know Yoshito had enough luck to make it out of there alive. But that aside, Orc Lord, the 5th floor's mid-boss unleashes his fury at Nogishi. Yoshito's face twists in terror. Nogishi tells the lad that he doesn't need pity from someone like him. Just as then, Orc Lord comes in full speed, intending to kill the Nogishi. But Nogishi's shield blocks this mega blow in time, unleashing a golden surge of energy. Nogishi has no worries at all, as Aegis Mimesis can block any hit no matter how powerful. In his previous battle, Nogishi admits he has been taken off guard by the sudden ambush from dozens of lizard folk. But now, Nogishi is confident about handling this one-on-one show against Orc Lord. He has no plans of losing here. Just like that, Nogishi demands Yoshito's full attention. He is fully certain to display how much of a big deal he is compared to a small fry like him. Meanwhile, Yuri, the motherly maiden, rushes to help the guy who got sent flying and smashed into the wall earlier. When she asks, he says that he is somehow fine, but in reality, he is totally charmed by his boss's bravery. Even after being sent off flying like a missile with just one hit, he can't take his eyes off Nagoshi, who is standing his ground like a rock. Nagoshi keeps clashing with that ominous freak Orc Lord without budging an inch. Not to mention, his constant reminder for Yoshito not to stray his eyes off his back sounds annoying now. He is determined to settle who is the big shot around here. Just then, the Orc Lord's fury unleashes Nagoshi, who still blocks his blows like an unfazed rock. Orc Lord's madness seems to be leveling up. He is ready to show his wrath to Nagoshi. Growling at the top of his lungs, he lifts his axe with all his might to chop off Nagoshi in bits. After a couple of failed strikes, Orc Lord is a bit puzzled. Meanwhile, Nagoshi is busy dropping hardcore lessons for the newbies like Yoshito. He shows off this dimwit that this is how much powered up mid-bosses are. Gripping his shield tight, the grim-faced brute is convinced this fight is an easy auto-win for challenger Nagoshi. Like a chill dude, Yoshito witnesses Nagoshi's play, spotting his unique equipment taken by the Magic Tower's boss. Knowing that Nagoshi's personal stats aren't all that good anyway, he starts to ponder hard if that's the true power of a mid-boss's unique equipment. The way Aegis Mimesis shows off an unbreakable defense against the Orc Lord's brutal blows is nothing short of legendary. This much fuss pisses off Orc Lord, who has enough of this, but Nagoshi can't quit being a show-off out here. Without wasting another second, Nagoshi musters up the courage to land a good hit. Lord Orc totally goes off balance by his smack. Getting the signal, Nagash's lackey quickly rises to the occasion and initiates the operation, Take Down the Big Guy. Sprinting up his skin, those two henchmen/Orc Lord, totally catching him off guard. That's when Nagoshi decides to roll. Jumping into action for the finishing blow, Nagoshi gives off a smug face to see Orc Lord's lowered head. He tells this rotten face that lowering his head would cost him a head smash. Just like that, he hammered this mid-boss freak like a big shot. That hit wrecks the massive monster, smashing it flat like a sticker on the floor. With that, Nagoshi proudly declares the true power wielded by a challenger to Yoshito. And just like that, Yoshito finally gets it, but unique equipment is on a whole different level. Bursting into laughter, Nagoshi flexes his skills as he brags that small fries like Yoshito, Mana, and Yuri just won't get it. Mana's temper is hitting the roof now, and Yuri's working overtime to keep her calm. He gloats that the likes of these nobodies wouldn't even dare to fight the mid-boss, let alone kill one. Thus, he demands these lowly challengers give their respect to the great Nagoshi-sama. Just then, his lackey rises back up with a giant grin. Nagoshi asks if he is in good shape, but this guy guides Nagoshi's attention to the bigger thing. He points at the golden light, likely marking the treasure ahead. Losing all composure, this impatient fool rushes ahead to claim this super rare item. Not to mention, he can't believe the size of this chest, as it's quite bigger than the one storing Aegis Mimesis. That's when Yoshito's mind clicks, knowing that something sounds fishy. Piecing it together, this fancy chest is a reward for the 5th floor, much more fascinating than the one keeping rare items. Right then, Yoshito yells out, alarming Nagoshi but a little too late for that. As it turns out, this moron let his guard down, forgetting Hermes reeks of deadly, atrocious traps. All of a sudden, as Nagoshi opens the chest, a massive golden surge of energy erupts. It floods the entire room with its blinding glow. Though the chest is totally empty, this surge of glow is a bonus. Moments later, they are all teleported to a new place, and it's no longer the mid-boss room. With everyone's guard up, Nagoshi looks to be sweating bullets like crazy. As it turns out, this dude can't handle the obscene pressure in this room. It's quite unsettling but familiar for Nagoshi. He claims that he has sensed these exact ominous vibes at the Magic Tower's top floor. Looking around, they quickly realize that they are standing face to face with the boss of the boss room. Under the weight of this unsettling, ominous vibe, they can feel it. The boss's presence is on a whole different level. The pressure in this room is unlike anything that they have faced before. Not to mention, the boss's eyes glow with pure terror, unleashing a sinister aura. That's so intense that it feels like it's trying to drive them away on sight. Sweating bullets like crazy, even Yoshito's shaken up by this sudden turn of events. He can't believe that they picked up a shortcut ride straight to the boss. All of a sudden, a red log screen flashes before his eyes, announcing the challengers have entered the top floor of the Magic Tower Hermes. Not only that, this turns out to be a forced teleportation straight to the top. That little intel shocks Yoshito to his core as he turns his face to the giant figure before him, and that is none other than the master of the Magic Tower, Ogre Emperor. Ogre Emperor isn't as thrilled about this uninvited bunch trespassing on his turf as the Orc Lord was. Wasting no time or effort, he rises from his throne and vanishes in a flash, ready to wipe them out. He charges ahead at full speed and the lot spots the superboss heading their way. The moment Yoshido sees him coming in, his eyes go wide with shock. This isn't just any enemy, as this guy is on a whole different level. With one devastating smash, the Ogre Emperor shatters the ground, leaving a big dent. This sends shockwaves throughout the room. Yoshido watches in horror. This guy is on a completely different level from anything he has ever faced. And the worst part is that he is damn sure that no one here has the stats to take him head on. But just as Yoshido suggests, the big guy takes a careful approach from here on out. Nagoshi shuts him down quickly. No way he is letting a whiny kid play it safe and take charge. He worries Yoshido might get himself killed if he comes up with any more ridiculous ideas. Yoshido doesn't care if he dies. But if they die, that's a real problem. Without wasting another second, Nagoshi takes action, backed by his lackeys. Just as his minions land a hit, followed by many others. It should have done some real damage, but Ogre Emperor doesn't even flinch. Without missing a beat, Nagoshi leaps into action, making it clear that this ogre better not underestimate the Dominator. Sadly, Nagoshi's last words would have been those of a fool to think he had a chance against the Ogre Emperor after ditching 5 floors down. Just as he jumps into action, the ogre is pretty quick to slash this big shot, probably splitting him limb by limb, putting an end to this gloater. A sudden spray of blood catches everyone off guard that they never saw coming. Nagoshi's mid-air slash attack backfires, and in an instant, his breathing turns shallow. Just now, Yoshito watches in pure shock as Aegis Mimesis didn't work. A terrible luck for Nagoshi, who never knew Aegis Mimesis had a condition. With no high stats, the ability wouldn't activate itself against the big boss. Before anyone can process this, Nagoshi's late corpse hits the ground, painting the floor red. His henchman instinctively rushes to him, but Yoshito snaps them back to reality, yelling for them to fall back. But this minion wouldn't listen to him. A little too late, and the ogre crushes him instantly. Thus, another man is down, and their numbers are seriously hurting. Gritting his teeth, Yoshido regrets letting 2 men die on his watch. Seeing Ogre's wrath, Mana decides that it's better to make a run for it. Right then, she spots the sealing magic, locking them shut here. With no way out, they are left to sort this mess out with Big Biog. Trembling in fear, Yuri whispers if that's the end. Without wasting another second, Ogre gets closer to finishing off Yuri, but Yoshio dashes to the site in time to block this attack. Thus, in no way as hell, Yoshito would let anyone else die in his wake. Keeping in check, he swears to promise not to let anyone walk the road of death like him. Certainly not today, even if he dies. That said, he counters the Ogre Emperor's devastating blow and dodges that in time. Without hesitation, Yoshido raises his silver sword high and slashes at the Ogre Emperor, but it barely leaves a scratch. Matching his pace, the Ogre Emperor leaps into action, leaving cracks on the floor. Just then, he is about to drop a soul-crushing punch, but Yoshido finally manages to dodge. That redirects Ogre's hit to the ground, which shatters brutally. Yoshido dashes out of sight and then jumps at this Creepy Zilla with all he got. But his stance doesn't bother Yoshido at all. One hardcore smash at Creepy Zilla catches everyone's attention to Yoshida, who is going all out one-on-one with the boss. Yoshido feels this crazy power-up thanks to the death penalty. Even then, Yoshito notices the Ogre Emperor having enough vigor to still give him a tough time. Meanwhile, Mana and Yuri's faces are totally blown away when seeing Yoshito battling the boss on his own. Looking at the ogre's vicious face, he actually expected the top dog to be a big problem. This cocky brat finally admits to not having enough stats that could overtake this freaky beast. But this fight is far from over yet. Yoshido has already cooked up a plan to take down the big boss. Knowing brute force won't cut it, especially at his stats, so he is down to play the long game of sucking out the stamina, totally draining the ogre's stamina, one death at a time. If he has to die over and over, so be it. After wearing down the ogre soon, he would be able to take this so-called emperor to meet his inevitable doom. And just like that, Yoshito jumps into action, ready to face this ominous being head-on, with no fear of death whatsoever. That strike ticks off the ogre, who sends Yoshito flying like a rocket. Upon realizing his limit, Yuri witnesses Yoshito's passing right before her eyes. Not to mention, her face totally went white with fear. A few seconds later, Yoshido gets a permanent debuff of AGI 55. But the next second, an inversion of AGI 55 Plus has been added to his log screen. Keeping his insanity in check, Yoshido's totally on board with his crazy plan of tasting death multiple times to end the ogre's life. Pure horror on Mana and Yuri's faces, who look totally terrified. Witnessing Yoshido's power-up, Mana is highly surprised. She never expected Infinite Revival to come with a little bonus, a power boost every time he dies. Yoshito decides to induce a negative effect, while Mana is still figuring out how it's even possible for Yoshido. Another death, another penalty, but a debuff of inversion of 20 plus gets added. Taking hits upon hits, Yoshito gets another inversion boost of HP 32 plus, but that's not what he is after. Without warning, Yoshido began their attempt to summon the death penalty decider, but with no moment's delay. With his focus on point, he tells the higher-ups to pick a stat for God's sake that actually deals with fatal damage. Time's ticking and he isn't into playing anymore. Yet again, the ogre hits, squashing him like a cockroach, but he gets resurrected instantly. Tasting death once more, this dude loses the balance, struggling against this immense agony that never seems to fade away, not to mention this soul-rushing pain that makes him closer to losing his sanity. Just then, it all pays off as Yoshida takes notice of his ATK skyrocketing to 140 plus after inversion. But this time there is something different. Apparently this guy hits the jackpot as his stats have surged like this never before. With this newfound boost, he is ready to turn the tide here. Thanks to Infinite Revival, he hits the set limit of Infinite Revival that unlocks Specify Respawn Point. This sudden pop-up of the log screen only adds to Yoshido's confusion and looks for further explanation. After thinking it through, he got this wicked look on him, knowing in no time it would be the time for a payback. Leaping into action, Yoshito rises to the occasion to settle this once and for all. He yearns for his fair shot at slaughtering the big boss. A new feature of Infinite Revival is unlocked, that is Designation of Revival Point. Now Yoshido can choose his respawn location within 3 meters of death. This changes everything, and Yoshido is out to make his death more useful, and this feature gets the job done. The ogre won't know what's coming. He believes this feature is probably targeted at situations where he gets stuck, like sinking in lava or trapped under a boulder. Without this feature, he bets that he would be stuck in an endless cycle of death, reviving just to get crushed again. But now, he can choose his respawn location with no worries. This whole thing would give him a million chances to escape the loop of death. However, Yoshido's mischief clicks, and he knows respawning might be of use when looking for the opponent's blind spots. This dude looks to be totally chilling, respawning from one spot to another, while his gang witnesses this freak show. However, Yoshido's mischief kicks in. He realizes that respawning isn't just a second chance, it's a weapon to hit the enemy's blind spot at the right time. He could totally strike the Ogre Emperor where he least expects it. Now that's settled, Yoshito is ready to kick off, leaping into action as he decides that it's his turn to kill the ogre now. And just like that, the ogre faces the harsh smack at his back that totally caught him off guard. He lets out a blood-curdling scream. Upon seeing Yoshido vanishing in a blink, Mana and others watch the whole thing in shock. Mana is in for a big surprise when she notices this guy dashing out of sight in just a second. Not to mention, he is aware the Ogre Emperor might sense him, but he totally has the upper hand here. He respawns right where the boss least expects it, and that's his cue to win this battle. Tackling the ogre's back-to-back hits, he admits that Nagoshi's gang didn't deserve to die, even if they were total scoundrels. Aside from that, he knows the end deal after he takes down the big shot on the top floor. He can practically get his hands on the rare item, but what's fun-taking is the Ogre Emperor's life itself. That pretty much pisses off the big freak, but Yoshito is already on the move. Gripping his sword tight, he straight up launches at him at full speed, only to land a gut-wrenching blow, which took him by surprise. As the Ogre Emperor crashes to the ground, lifeless, Yoshito puts his sword back. Looking down at the fallen foe, Yoshito spots a log screen, flashing the words like Boss of the Magic Tower Hermes has been taken down. Rolling his rewards, which include a unique piece of equipment and a magic stone, both automatically sent to his inventory. Yoshito glances at his rewards, feeling both satisfaction and doubt. He wonders if that's actually a win. Before he could process this, Yuri suddenly wrapped her arms around him from behind. The unexpected hug snaps him out of his thought process. Jumping back, even Yuri herself turns red with embarrassment. On the other hand, Mana expresses her gratitude to Yoshito for rescuing them from having the most painful death. But seeing Yoshito's reckless abuse of infinite revivals, she can't shake the feeling of witnessing his countless deaths in just a few moments. That's just too painful, even for him and the spectators. Choosing to die over and over again, Mana has been affected by Yoshito's insane choice. Without further ado, Yoshito straight up apologizes to Mana for letting her see this gruesome death loop. He pats her, knowing that this could have taken a toll on her mental health as well. Yoshito swears to Mana that he will always return, no matter how many times he takes the hit. But his agonizing screams betray the true pain of death, sending shivers down her spine. His outright confession of how much it hurts freaks her out. Totally shaken, Mana manages a weak nod. Yoshito, with a sigh, vows to die less. This promise brings a fragile smile to both their faces. Suddenly, a digital screen flashes that Hermes is about to take off in 10 seconds, and letting the passengers off to some other location. With the magic tower about to vanish, they plan to meet outside again, casting a final glance at Nagoshi's dead gang. Yoshito swears to remember this bunch in his memories. He then bids them farewell, and the tower dissolves into nothingness. Later on, the words of conquest spread really quickly, reaching the ears of the high-ranking superiors. A sharp-eyed woman sits in her lavish office, utterly stunned. The news of halfway untouched magic tower, Hermes, had just been taken down. Her subordinate confirms the rumors and assuring that a full report will be on her desk soon enough. Instead of anger or concern, a smirk tugs on her lips as this breaking news amuses her. Things have just gotten interesting. Giving off his final goodbye to his fallen comrades, the magic tower, Hermes, kicks out the conqueror Yoshito, and his side chicks. By then, the crowd has already gathered up to take their final glance at the disappearing Hermes. Taking a glimpse of it, Yoshito clenches his fist, feeling it in his bones that he finally managed to conquer a magic tower. That surely tugs a big grin on his face with his satisfaction rate maxed out. But that smile is quick to fade away, knowing Hermes' boss room wasn't supposed to be tampered with just yet. Not to mention, he is aware that they haven't even come close to clearing out the 5th floor yet. But they all straight up jumped up to the opportunity of taking on the big boss, thanks to Hermes' deathly traps. Soon enough, his sharp ears catch on quickly to the nearby gossip. The lot bets a strong freak must have finished off the boss room without breaking so much as a sweat. Right then, he decides to drop a big bomb at the audience. Just then, Yoshito imagines his perfect picture of declaring to be the conqueror of Hermes, who has defeated the boss. But that ain't happening after the crazy count of casualties on his watch, which wouldn't do justice to his outclass performance. He would totally like to gloat about his win, but not at the expense of Nagoshi's fallen gang. His first ever conquest has sent his self-confidence rate off the roof. However, he wouldn't want his body to get too relaxed and get carried away. Thus, Yoshito firmly decides to keep his astonishing first-time victory totally covered up. This way, he wouldn't catch too much attention, keeping him off the radar until he figured things out. Right then, Mana and Yuri catch this guy's sneaky getaway and call upon him. These eagerly hyper bunnies are dying to know about the real stuff. Things just wouldn't go his way. Thus, Mana and Yuri are in sync, loudly begging Conqueror Yoshito to flash his rare item, which he got after finishing off the boss. Just as then, this little info flows through the ears of the bystanders, who are quite stunned by the fact that this measly human cleared out the dungeon. Letting out a deep sigh, he is clearly disappointed at the lady's loose mouth. Now the entire crowd knew about his so-called achievement. No one could wrap their heads around it, as this guy who got tricked into buying the trash skill had somehow taken down the boss of Hermes. Too hard to digest, the truth is sitting in front of them. Yoshito is actually the dominator of the Hermes magic tower. Now what's done is done. Moments later, this trio grabs drinks after making a quick getaway from all the crazy fuss. As it turns out, Yoshito's fame rate finally took off, while a couple of dudes wouldn't quit dropping him requests to join his party. After that, Mana apologizes for an accidental slip of the tongue, while Yuri is still processing the big news of Yoshito conquering the Hermes boss. Aside from that, she casually mentions that Yoshito's dominator status can't nullify the spotlight effect. The dude hasn't yet gotten used to the fact that he is the dominator now. Taking a glimpse of the sky above, he notices how far he has come in such a short span. Turns out, Yoshito's loser phase kicked off seriously right after he bought Infinite Revival, but he soon realizes that it wasn't so bad after all. Yuri brings up the Infinite Revival's infamous drawback, as she is quite curious herself to know how this cocky brat copes with it. The negative effects are a bit much even for him to handle, but he uses it so well despite countless deaths. Choosing his words carefully, he hesitates while having trouble explaining inversion to these airheads. Seeing his tense expression, Yuri assures him that she is just curious, but having no answer wouldn't kill her, so it's fine. With a sigh, he chugs his drink down, although he wouldn't mind explaining the real deal. In the meantime, Mana is still super curious about the rare item he snagged after defeating the boss. Tossing the trash away, Yoshito struggles to open his inventory. Turns out no window pops up outside the magic tower, including stats to skills, is locked to the magic tower only. This way, normal society gets no damage from the challenger's chaos. But Yoshito smirks that there is no exception, and the only place where inventory still works is actually the site of the magic tower. Thus, they decide to enter Hermes' site of the magic tower. Inside, there's a strange feeling that Yoshito hasn't gotten used to yet. As he finally opens his inventory, the girls hold their breath. His eyes lock onto the Fosaminos, and the moment he selects it, a golden surge of energy erupts, materializing a massive sword in front of him. The blade reeks of an ominous red aura as he grips the handle, feeling its weight. This dude kinda likes it. Mana and Yuri finally couldn't keep their eyes off the unique weapon, Fosaminos, in Yoshito's grip. With one effortless swing, he instantly feels the lightweight blade, which comes with the feature of being easy to use. Yoshito beams with pleasure and can't wait for his next magic tower conquest now. That thought kickstarts Mana's witty side, so she quickly jumps into action. She asks Yoshito to form a party together right from the start. This girl is already scheming their next adventure. Spotting Mana's quick jump, Yuri screams loudly that she desires to join as well. Taking notice of Mana's quick, bold move to form a party with Yoshito, Yuri jumps in with high spirits. She announces her interest in joining Yoshito as well. That catches Yoshito off guard, but he doesn't mind having high-spirit teammates on board. He assures the girls that their spots are locked in with a special friendly discount. Right then, Mana swoops in close, throwing him off balance as he blushes. She asks what's next for them. Taken aback by Mana's bold move, he hears out ladies who are fully hyped up, demanding something as big as Hermes' magic tower. This firecracker, Mana, desires to challenge Zeus next, while Yuri thinks it's a bad idea to be this cocky. While the bimbos bicker at the corner, Yoshito is in deep thought. Breaking the ice, Yoshito already has a place in mind he would totally like to check out now. When asked, his face lit up with a smile, as he wished to see Tokyo's Challengers Management Bureau. After 2 minutes of awkward silence, Mana and Yuri exchange clueless glances. Clearly, visiting the boring Management Bureau wasn't on their list of exciting things to do. Talking things through with airheads isn't as easy as Yoshito thought. Thus, he breaks it down simply that the Bureau buys magic stones and rare items at a much higher rate than those rip-off stalls at the Magic Tower. This piece of intel grabs their attention, and they are probably making a note of it. Yoshito mentions his need to check that place out to sell his items. Nervously sweating, Yoshito's practically trembling to admit that he made a big blunder of spending all his savings on buying the infinite revival. That only jump-started his broken phase. Yuri and Mana can't help but feel a little pity for Yoshito. Soon, they arrive at Tokyo's Management Bureau, which is a dedicated government organization to supporting adventurers. This place holds real-time updates on all the magic towers, ensuring challengers stay informed. Beyond intel, it provides services to sell or buy magic stones and weapons at fair prices. That's better compared to the rip-off magic stalls at the magic towers. Even so, the Bureau's high-profile status keeps everything legit here, ensuring the system remains fair and balanced for all. Moreover, Yoshito figures the Bureau's location set up straight at the magic tower's site, which holds no restrictions on challengers' powers. Closer to the counter, Yoshito owns not only unique weapons but also magic stones after conquering Hermes. His only hope is to get a load of money in exchange, thinking if that would even be enough. Up next is Yoshito's turn. He casually clicks to unload his magic stones. Instantly, a massive pile drops onto the counter. The mere quantity startles the reception girl and Yoshito himself. Her eyes widened in shock. After some awkward silence, she hesitates, probably wondering if this guy raided an entire tower or what. He didn't realize that he would be getting this many. Then, the reception girl proceeds with the exchange process, even though she is utterly dazzled. A moment later, this dude did quite jump from rag to riches. That load not only cleared his debt but also made him quite rich. Scrolling through countless ideas to spend this newfound wealth, Yuri chimes in, suggesting he should save it instead. Even Mana tells this snob that there is no telling what kind of high-end emergency funds he might need down the line. Her serious tone makes him reconsider his stupid ideas, just when she reminds him of his possible chances of ending up back in debt. Out of nowhere, an ominous aura fills the air, sending chills down Yoshito's spine. His instincts scream danger as his eyes lock onto a purple-haired woman standing before him. This woman drops a quick intro, introduces herself as Rito Fuyune, the chief of Tokyo's Challenger Management Bureau. Apparently, this girl was looking forward to meeting him and wanted to have a quick chat with the dominator of Hermes. Chief Rito Fuyune of Tokyo's Challenger's Management Bureau would like a word with Takamichi Yoshito, the dominator of the Hermes Magic Tower. He is sure this suspicious encounter reeks of trouble and nothing else. Not to mention, this lady sounds like bad news already. Moreover, Yoshito finds her facial structure to be quite familiar somehow. As Yoshito processes everything, he realizes that Rito Fuyune is a much bigger fish, practically the strongest challenger out there hired by the Bureau after she conquered 3 magic towers as a challenger. He bets this lady got scouted directly by the Bureau. A force like her wouldn't go unnoticed after all. Alongside this, Yoshito recalls Rito's famous ads scattered all over the city, as it's too hard to miss this lady. The girl's popularity rating is off the roof. What's more confusing to Yoshito is why the likes of her are meddling with him. It's quite weird to have a president give a damn about a lowlife like him. When asked, Rito announces her decision to hold up a hearing only to figure out how he managed to slay Hermes' boss. His eye twitches at the mere thought of being exploited like that. And secondly, Rito intends to witness the dominator Yoshito's true power at hand through direct observation. Later on, Yoshito has no choice but to come clean to the president of the Bureau that Hermes' traps teleported them straight to the boss room. She regards this news as pretty useful for other challengers, only to avoid such a fate. She thanks Yoshito for this intel and his thoughts on the number of casualties they have encountered in their last adventure. After a pause, Rito plans to deliver the news of Nagoshi and the group's deaths to their families. Observing their sadness, she states that deaths were a regular part of adventuring in the Magic Tower. She is aware of how painful it has been. Suddenly, the realization hits him hard, and he is quick to relate how painful it has been. They kept telling themselves that they couldn't do much about Nagoshi's fallen crew, but in the end, it was just painful. Tears filled his eyes, and a sense of relief allowed him to finally think clearly through this perspective. Afterward, Rito walks the girls to the Management Bureau's training room, letting the show run a few swings, but Yoshito complains of this blade feeling a bit dull. Answering to his complaints, Rito clarifies that it's a basic sword that's used in their practice areas. She relays that he was to battle her, a dominator against another dominator. No doubt Chief Rito is quite serious about witnessing the true powers Yoshito hoards inside. She thinks of it as the Chief of Bureau's responsibility. After the challenge is thrown his way, the lad knows he has no chance of making it out of here on his terms, so he better do as she says so. While Yoshito's thinking through, Mana drops her creative ideas for punchlines that might escalate things even more. She resorts to suggesting Yoshito confront Rito with the intention of sending her flying like a missile. Throwing shade at Sissy, she is one to talk. Well, he doesn't have any other option left but to take this seriously, so this dude gears up with a sinister smile. Knowing he is about to face off against the infamous chief of Tokyo's Bureau, he cannot ignore the fact that he isn't just an amateur, as he clearly defeated the Magic Tower's boss. This cocky brat lets the cutie know that he might be a much bigger deal than she is expecting. Well, hearing out this gloater, Rito decides to see it for herself and assess his capabilities personally. In a flash, Rito vanishes in a blink before he flickers a muscle and throws him off with a quick close-up. These two engage in a full-on clash of swords at the maximum speed that even normies can't follow. Totally floored, he finally understands Rito Fuyune's true nature. The sheer speed of this woman is quite terrifying. A triple flip back, Yoshido retreats to buy him time to think of something, but that doesn't go his way. Rito is quick to catch up on him. Suddenly he feels a tinge of someone behind and barely dodges her smacking hit in time. Now this is turning out to be a pain in the bum. He can't compete with this over-the-top power surge. Huffing like he is low on oxygen, keeping up with Rito is getting him totally worked up. The realization hits him hard like a ton of bricks, as defeating the boss after countless deaths was only possible then. But Yoshido has no clue how to fight an invincible dominator who never dies even once when conquering towers. Locking eyes with this menace, Yoshido quickly recalls that his relentless mindset of never giving up, even after endless deaths, has brought him this far. He feels like a fool to compare their differences so soon. Just like that, he figures out that the defensive measures wouldn't get him a win like others, so it's better to equip his style. Drenching in sweat, he realizes how foolish he had been for not noticing that in no way his defense strategy would work here. As it turns out, he needed to fight his way. With that, he dove in, ready to face the chief of the bureau, Rito Fuyune. Charging head-on, he plans to initiate his attack. Just as he flashes before her, Rito's movement slows down a bit as she is caught off guard. Aiming to strike the chief, Yoshito is confident in his speed as he swings his blade only to watch Rito slip away just in time. Rito's sidestepping the blow takes him by surprise. She quickly slashes to counter his attack in no time. Clenching his teeth, his frustration grows thick. She claims that this stunt was something she didn't expect. At once, Yoshido tends to ask Rito if a random standard attack from a regular monster or person wouldn't even touch her. Right in between the battle, this dude keeps up the casual chit-chat. Her small flicker of hesitation gave away the match. Or else, Yoshito tells her that it would have been one-sided. That totally turned the tables around. Unbothered by his cheap commentary, Rito continues to swing his blade, keeping him busy. Even then, Yoshido wouldn't quit his blabber. He could tell that Rito was sizing him up, but his unpredictable stunt made her hesitate for a moment there. Not out of fear but instinct instead. He noticed her hand twitch just as his casual, almost reckless behavior rolled in. One that didn't fit the challenger's standards. Acting out pushed her to feel that. Their lips curving into a smirk, he lets her know that this stunt was a risky gamble he could afford, thanks to the infinite revival. He feels sorry for playing dirty. A clash of swords yet again. Yoshido is fully aware that no ordinary dude stands a chance against her, which leaves him to use other means. Taken aback, Rito's mind flashes back to receiving the full intel on infinite revival, giving its user endless respawns. Not to mention, their unshakable confidence to move ahead with zero fear sounds quite troublesome. She can't help but get a serious thrill from witnessing such a fearsome ability. Even then, she wouldn't let her guard down a second time. That said, she lands a bone-crushing blow at his face, catching him off guard. He admits to being hurt, but compared to his death streak, this means nothing. In the blink of an eye, Rito Fuyune stands back up, about to sheath her sword, as she gives off a satisfactory smile. Rito casually remarks that she has finally wrapped her head around his bizarre powers. She smiled and admitted defeat, but made it clear it was a one-time thing. Before Rito can even finish her sentence, Yoshido suddenly collapses, hitting the ground hard. Taken aback, she didn't see this coming. Yoshido claims to be giving no crap about win or lose. He orders the medical treatment right away. Right then, his soul is on the verge of fading away, while the two airheads try shoving it back in. Moments later, Yoshido barely clings to his soul, managing to stay alive by a thread. With the battle finally over, he assumes that settles everything and casually asks if he can return now. But Rito isn't ready to let him go just yet. There is still some unfinished conversation hanging in the air. After verifying Yoshido's true power exceeded her expectations, Rito got a special offer for Challenger Yoshido. That throws off Mana and Yuri to see Yoshito receiving a request from the chief herself. Rito promises to pay in cash, which they would totally prefer. Take aback, Yoshido still has no clue what's happening. He asks for the details, to which Rito reveals the bureau detecting the whereabouts of a new tower. With the entrance currently sealed off, Rito still orders Yoshito to charge in and gather intel. The preliminary investigation of the magic tower Persephone is what Rito entrusts Yoshito. Rito Fuyune drops a bomb on Yoshito and she has picked up a mission just right for him. That's something she can only entrust to Yoshito, and only he can handle it. Checking out the magic tower Persephone, Yoshito doubts that it's his line of work, considering only the bureau management inspects the new towers. This leads him to wonder, so why him of all people? That's when she drops the real shocker, something Yoshito's gang never expected. As it turns out, Rito's crew has already sent 2 teams of 5 people from the bureau, sending out a total of 10 inspection parties of their own, and not a single one has come back. Things grow intense from here on out. Yoshito, including Mana and Yuri, are taken aback by what could cause this, imagining the horrors behind the walls of Persephone. Mana is in straight-up denial, like how no one can make it out. Rito admits that she felt the same shock as them, that 10 people have gone missing somehow. Until then, they sent out a search party to look for clues, and only then did they dig up the truth. As it turns out, the missing challengers weren't missing at all. They were found dead right near the entrance of the magic tower, the supposed safe zone. That's the creepiest part of all. Breaking it down, Rito explains how all the dead lot showed signs of struggle and desperate escape, but collapsed just inches from the exit. Something feels off to Yoshito, as it just clicks, knowing the entrance area is designed as the safe zone with no possible respawning of any monster. Rito nods, claiming that there is no way any entity took them all out at the doorstep, which isn't how the magic towers work. No respawning at the entry points is permitted, meaning whatever killed those challengers isn't some big scary beast, but a strange occurrence. And then, Rito drops the truth bomb that there weren't any wounds or injuries reported on the corpses. No claw marks, bites, or anything of any sort, just plain death served. After submitting the request, Rito did her best to retrieve the bodies, but she didn't waste any time. She commanded the search party to grab whatever was possible and get the hell out of there, as it was too risky to stick around. With zero data or leads, except a pile of bodies and a whole lot of questions, the Bureau can't let any more casualties happen. Piecing it together, Yoshito figures out that Rito is counting on his weird skill, infinite revival, to crack this mystery. She assures him that there is no trick to it, but she is done risking the lives of their men. And with that, she requests Yoshito to take this job for her sake. Meeting her gaze, Yoshito sights and knows there is no walking away from this one, so he is in. Upon arriving, he enters the magic tower of Persephone. Reaching the safe zone on the first floor, he casually walks inside with a classic case of coolness. Right then, he takes a look around as if he is out chilling in the park. Now, time to get serious. He quickly snaps out of this cool demeanor and gets this show running. In the nick of time, Yoshito labels his goals of the day to verify what's killing the challengers here. With everything resting on Yoshito's shoulder, he rolls with it. Not just to crack the case, but to help Rito and put everyone's worries at ease soon enough. Recalling back, the crybaby Yuri, barely holding herself together, kept begging Yoshito not to die. He had to tell her to cut it down, as it's bad luck to even think he is signing up for a trip to hell. Shaking it off, Yoshito has no time to waste, with people counting on him. Gearing up, he swipes open the log screen only to draw his Phos Aminos, his favorite prized possession. After defeating Hermes' boss, he earned this sword, which he still can't believe he pulled off. Then he moves ahead, and moments later, he bumps into an army of skeleton soldiers. Turning on his full beast mode, his bone-crushing hits send the pile of bones flying. It's the sword's light and fast nature that's fun as hell to wing around, as expected from a top-tier weapon. All busy putting his sword on a test drive. But a sudden interruption halts his plans. A weird purple smoke rolls in, killing the vibe real quick. This thick and eerie smoke won't waver even if Yoshito wings his sword. Just as he is trying to figure out what's wrong, a red log screen pops up, spitting the ugly truth. That close reality check finally makes him realize what killed the challengers. The so-called curse of Persephone activation in the next 120 seconds. This abnormal condition would kill anyone in sight. That only happens if anyone lays eyes on it, even for a second. Time's already ticking, with 120 seconds left to yank his soul straight out. Now Yoshito understands and credits Rito for choosing him. That totally was the right call to make, considering everyone else would have screwed up. For normies, this would have raised serious alarms and panic in other challengers, causing them to lose basic sense. Gripping his sword tight, he believes to still has an ace up his sleeves to deal with the situation. Unlike normies, he had an advantage at hand. Looking at the previous struggles of other challengers, they had perfect reasons to rush out of there in one piece. Leaving the premises of the magic tower nullifies all abnormal conditions, buffs and debuffs included. Recalling Rito's reports, the previous challenges did their best to hurry to the entrance point, but much to their dismay, the curse inflicted them just one step away from it. That clears up the theory of why no dead body has a single scratch. Breaking into a nervous sweat, Yoshito senses his death coming to haunt him in the next 2 minutes. Meanwhile, the ominous purple smoke, somehow having a mind of its own, gets the job done by stamping Yoshito with the curse and heads out. He notices the casual demeanor of this purple cloud, losing its interest in Yoshito after finishing the job. That ticks him off to see that Purple Puff is totally asking for it. Triggering his full rage mode, Yoshito didn't like this violet vapor thinking low of him. However, Yoshito bets that this curse of Persephone wouldn't stand a chance against the infinite revival. And just like that, inversion skill kicks in and wipes out the deadly effects of Persephone's curse. Yoshito couldn't help but feel a hint of excitement as the time for payback comes closer. Thanks to this curse, inversion skill rebooted his body perfectly. Knowing the violet fog's retreating direction, he decides not to waste any more precious time and follows it right away. I wonders if chasing is the right way to go. Again, the curse of Persephone gets reactivated on Yoshito. This annoying track is something normies would never be able to handle. Thanks to infinite revival, Yoshito can make it out of here alive. No doubt the normies didn't have a chance to conquer it all. Turning around, he notices the fog has grown much thicker, A few seconds later, Yoshito somehow found himself walking right to the source of this ominous fog. Out of nowhere, a purplish ball throws in full speed, practically just to slice Yoshito's head off. Taken aback, Yoshito dodges just in time and watches that cryptic ball of energy burst into flames on the other side. Right about now, Yoshito spots a creeper flying above his head, wearing a purplish cloak, who is known to be the cursed spring gatekeeper. Growling and grumbling, this demonic freak shoots off multiple energy blasts in Yoshito's way, but Yoshito dodges like a pro, which is enough to piss him off. Leveling up the crazy here, this cryptic gatekeeper whips the purplish fog into a full-blown tornado. And if that wasn't weird enough, this guy starts clapping at the giant cloud like he is at some twisted talent show. Adding a dash of freak, he chants a few words after a frustrated scream. Yoshito has no clue if it's a nervous breakdown or a ritual. Totally weirded out, Yoshito quickly puts 2 and 2 together. This guy is the one controlling the fog. Right then, the red log screens pop up one after another, probably going haywire. And that's when Yoshito senses this dude's killing intent, driving the system nuts. Out of nowhere, a skeleton charges in from behind, catching him off guard, but he slashes it into a pile of bones just in time. After the gatekeeper calls for reinforcements, this bunch of skeletons jump into action to put a stop to Yoshito's solo spree. Probably abusing the sheer numbers, they are quick to gang up on Yoshito. Just as he battles with the skeletal minions, one sneaks up from behind and carves the blade to his back. Suddenly, Yoshito collapses headfirst to the ground, painting the floor red. Just then, the evil gatekeeper bursts out laughing to see Yoshito being a total mess here. Meanwhile, Yoshito wonders if he can afford to slack around. Just as fast, inversion skill practically goes wild, and he makes a full recovery instantly. Soon enough, this dude respawns, and its sheer force sends the rattling pile of bones flying like ragdolls. That's when Yoshito learns that this guy is on a whole different level. Not to mention, this top-tier curse proves to be the highest quality medicine for Yoshito's revival. And just like that, Yoshito leaps into action to chop everyone off, including Spring. All of a sudden, there is a strange but crazy big energy ball swirling underneath him, and now the Spring's curse has been lifted. Yoshito dealt with Spring's curse and cleared up the death-mongering vibes off Persephone. Afterward, he headed straight to the Tokyo branch of Challenger's Management Bureau. There, he fills in Rito Fuyun about the cursed Spring Gatekeeper, and his curse with the abnormal condition that massacred their respective teams. That shook her to the bones that a curse powerful enough to cause instant death exists. Moreover, she desires to know if there's an antidote to this thing, or a countermeasure to prevent it. This chill dude tosses the bottle to Rito suddenly, claiming this would do the trick. When asked, he explains how defeating the gatekeeper of the cursed spring purified the spring, and he bottled up this liquid. This turns out to be Persephone's holy water, which cures the spring's curse. Also, it provides an additional 600 seconds of immunity for new curses. Yoshito figured the normies could finally take on Persephone's magic tower without breaking a sweat. Furthermore, he claims that each floor contains a cursed spring, and he only inspected the 3rd floor. That's when he figured out that the magic tower of Persephone gets to be climbed up under 2 conditions. Once each floor's cursed spring must be purified, and also to attain the holy water. After a clear-cut presentation of Persephone, Rito thanks Yoshito a ton for doing this. In light of the warning signs and preventative measures, Rito sees the possibility of opening this magic tower even for the normies now. Afterward, Rito appreciates the excellent work of Dominator Yoshito after his commission. Seated down, Chief Rito does the honor of opening the loaded briefcase, and Yoshito totally freaks out. She asks if the money is enough. Outright stunned, Yoshito lets her know that it's all fine. Later on, Yoshito's mind can't seem to grasp reality after owning a ridiculous amount of money, thanks to Persephone and Hermes. The lad is getting the creeps and pretty much needs a reality check. Even a nearby kid couldn't help but tease his hideous face, which looks like he is about to crap his pants. A few days later, Yoshito finally clears his debt from buying Infinite Revival. Even after that, he is still left with a mountain of reward money with no way to spend it. Naturally, he does what any sane person does, so this dude goes full shopping spree mode at a suitable luxury brand store. The dude goes nuts, buying the most ridiculously over-the-top stuff, only to come out looking like a diva with issues. Then he looks at the sky. Something about today just feels different to Yoshito. Suddenly, he hears Mana and Yuri's voices discussing their plans to enter Persephone, as it's now open for all the challengers. Panic washes over his face and Yoshito acts casually, hoping they don't notice. And for a second, it totally works, until Mana's instincts kick in. Her quick radar picks up Yoshito's signals, fully disgusted to see Yoshito's choice of fashion. In his defense, Yoshito yells about having a stupid amount of money with no idea how to spend it. Yuri, sweetie, takes his side and tries appreciating his efforts, but he shuts that down real quick. Even he knows he looks utterly ridiculous. Shrugging it off, Mana gets down to business, sharing their plans on checking out Persephone. When asked, she explains the magic stone altered by the cursed fog would be worth a fortune. Tons of confident challengers have already lined up. Yuri recalls reading somewhere that normal challengers have already scratched the surface of the 10th floor in a matter of just a few days. Now that's gotta be the fastest record so far. Something about it feels off, as Yuri thinks this pace is quite abnormal too. Meanwhile, Mana has got her own agenda set, nagging this newly self-made Richie Rich that he should help them make some cash too. On the other hand, Yuri, a little blush, mumbles that she is down to go anywhere with Yoshito. As the bickering continues, Yoshito practically zones out, thinking they better load up some holy water before entering Persephone's premises. Before they head out, Yoshito raises an important request to change his clothes, as he's already embarrassed enough. Meanwhile, deep inside Persephone, the Grim Reaper silently awaits his next victim, standing over the bodies of yet another group of challengers he just eliminated. Following that, Yoshito engages in a fierce battle against this bunch of skeleton soldiers who just wouldn't give up. Gripping his sword tight, he is having a blast swinging Phos Aminos at the Magic Tower, Persephone's 10th floor. Within a matter of seconds, a single strike of Phos Aminos shatters the skeleton into fine crumbs. And just like that, Takamichi Yoshido finally gets an upgrade to level 16. All of a sudden, a round of applause comes from Mana and Yuri's side. These two bimbos are completely blown away to see such impressive hits from this former loser. Even Yuri is at a loss for words. Unable to measure the extent of his strength, Mana can't wrap her head around to figure how far Yoshito has come from being a total loser. Spilling the obvious, Yoshito lets this Dumbo know that after killing this many, it's natural to have his level rise this high. To be honest, Yoshito is aware that even going full berserk on monsters wouldn't raise his stats much. However, having a low level would just take a hit on his repo and make people second-guess him. Thus he thinks of leveling up a bit more. Out of nowhere, a log screen pops up, flashing a warning of only 60 seconds left before Persephone's holy water wears. Realizing that the curse nullification might stop working soon, Mana suggests Yoshito drink the holy water again, only to avoid extra trouble. Even though Mana agrees that this level's spring has been purified, which lifts any risks of being cursed here. Still, better safe than sorry, Mana tells the lad that there is no harm in drinking it anyway. As if it were second nature, Yoshito decides to follow her advice, but a last-minute epiphany stops him in his tracks. He considers the possibility that the inversion skill might reverse the effects of the holy water, resulting in a curse instead of a blessing. Realization hits him hard like a ton of bricks. Turning around, Yoshito complains of having found no right time to discuss inversion skill with Mana and Yuri. Without further ado, the lad decides to break it down for them and get it over with. Just as he calls out their attention, an ominous figure floating in the air yanks Yuri away, before Yoshito's eyes. Me Creepy Bones suddenly whooshes out of thin air, snatching Yuri as he owns her. Completely off guard, Mana screams Yuri's name and drops the holy water bottle. Yoshito is practically freaking out. The skeleton freak is gripping Yuri's neck, like he is choking the lady. But then, his eyes catch something even worse. Just about now, Yoshito notices the weird swirling smoke, which turns out to be the deadly purplish fog creeping close to her. Some serious alarm goes off and the lad needs to act quickly. Before he can move, another red log screen slams into his vision, dictating that Persephone's abnormal condition has been activated. For a second there, he took his good time to process that he just got cursed again, leaving him 120 seconds left until death arrived. After thinking it through, Yoshito finally figured out that it's the damn monster that's cursing them. Talk about bad timing, as it's the same moment their holy water ran out, and they happen to bump into the ultimate boss. Things have gotten super intense here, with Yuri's life at stake. Quick as a wink, Mana, like a raging breast, takes charge of rescuing Yuri from this jerk's filthy grip. Going one-on-one, Mana straight up strikes at this creeper, but not a single blow makes a difference. Instead, this freak kicks Mana out of the way like she is a total nuisance. However, that's not enough to get a leash on Mana, but Yoshito yells aloud to let him have this. From there, Yoshito leaps into action, letting out his inner beast to teach this Grim Reaper a lesson about who he is messing with. Even then, the Creepy Bones wouldn't call it quit. Plus, it continues to give Yoshito a hard time. Clenching his teeth, he hates the fact that he just can't figure out a single opening, let alone a chance to get through. That said, it took him a while to admit that this creeper isn't a small fry after all. Right then, Yoshito retreated swiftly, only to question this thing's reason for putting up a harsh defense, but keeping a laid-back approach on offense. He has no clue what the Grim Reaper is cooking up, but Mana believes that they better hurry before something goes wrong. Having less than 90 seconds, Mana informs him that Yuri's curse might take effect any time now. Meanwhile, Yuri begs the Grim Reaper to let her go, but the Reaper's vicious giggle creeps her out even more. And just like that, his intro drops as this big shot claims to the Soul Expunger. Soon enough, Yoshito finally figured out his deal. This Soul Expunger toys with his victims until their holy water stops working. Just as holy water's effects wear off, the Grim Reaper unleashes his madness to take their souls. That said, Yoshito's fury goes off the roof, and he is ready to befall his wrath upon this jerk. This madman would prefer if no jerk of Magic Tower took him this easily. With a clash of swords, Yoshito's savage rage pushes him high enough, aiming to smash those creepy bones. Just now, the cloaked freak bursts out laughing, witnessing Yoshito's freaked-out face. Sweating bullets like crazy, he wasn't about to give up slicing that weirdo. Gripping Yuri tight, the Soul Expunger flies in a hurry real quick and rushes out of here. In a heartbeat, Mana teams up with Yoshito to chase this jerk down the road, chasing after this bone-faced jerk, only to run straight into an army of skeleton soldiers. And just like that, it all makes sense that this freak leads them straight into a trap only to stall for time. Yoshito figures out his scheme but notices Mana feeling down and low. Yoshito questions if Mana is up for this or just got scared. Getting a hold of her weapons tight, Mana's totally ready to turn this bone pile into dust. Just then, she jumps into action, shattering everything in her sight. She tells the lad that this trap has just gotten her fired up. He likes Mana's attitude, hoping she could keep this up. No doubt she is down to cause mayhem here. And just like that, even if breaking into a nervous sweat, both Mana and Yoshito jump into action, flipping their switch to beast mode. While they are shattering the pile of bones in their way, this bunch of skeleton soldiers decide to try something new. From then on, a bunch of flesh-piercing arrows came flying at them. Suddenly, Mana's skull is almost about to get drilled by the flying arrow, but Yoshito whooshes in the air just in time to knock it off. That turned out to be a once nice save. Then, they both catch their breaths, while Yoshito figures that only 1 minute left to save Yuri or she is as good as dead. Ditching everything else, Yoshito decides to go into full-on rage mode to clear the way. That said, he dashes ahead at full speed, smashing everything in his way. All of a sudden, he notices an item drop, which turns out to be a ring. Just then, a red log screen drops the intro, as it's Corpse's Grudge. Apparently this thing lets one taste death every 5 seconds. Cracking a smile, Yoshito calls this the first case of harassment, to have such an item with 0 merit fall in his steps. He believes this thing can't be worn by any, except him. Without further ado, he wears the ring, and a countdown to death begins. As it turns out, this ring's ability to grant death, combined with inversion skill and infinite revival, would only power him up. All that in a mere 5 seconds? That's gotta be the quickest way to get strong. Not to mention, Yoshito no longer needs to worry about the defense. Switching to full-on offense mode, the lad dashes ahead at full speed, slashing every skeleton soldier, while carving his path to the soul expunger. Jumping at the Reaper to settle the score, the special attack skill of Fos Aminos gets unlocked. That turns out to be the 7-strike assault, claiming of increase in power at each strike. No interruption would lead to a tremendous impact, but contains a long cooling period, which means timing is the key here. Without picking the right time to launch it, it's a total failure. Just as Yoshito swings his blade, he gets knocked out of the way. Yuri's face screams horror as she watches Yoshito's downfall. But here's the kicker. The new ring, like a blessing, does the trick here. Instant revival with instant healing, this dude is better than ever and makes a quick slash to end this creep's chapter right here. Slammed back, the soul expunger initiates an attack, but the ring's death effect kills Yoshito first. This starts the inversion, and he comes alive with an upgrade. Engaging fearlessly, Yoshito plans his most powerful strike ever. And just like that, Yoshito, giving his all out, lands a bone-crushing hit, called Chain Bloom, aimed at the Grim Reaper's face. This guy doesn't know what's about to hit him. The impact is totally horrifying, making the soul expunger scream his last agonizing cry. That force of attack shattered his very bones into fine dust. Then, in a puff of dust, the soul expunger ceases to exist. With him out of the picture, the Grim's body crumbles to dust, and Yuri slips from his grasp, plummeting toward the ground. She is inches away from getting her skull cracked open after a smash to the ground, but luck is on her side. This girl falls right into Yoshito's arms, so she lets out a crazy scream in shock. With her heart racing fast, she is flustered while Yoshito just grins down at her. He is glad to have her back in one piece, which is all that matters. Still holding her close, Yuri thanks Yoshito for saving him. Right in the middle of their little moment, Mana decides to butt in hard. This firecracker flips out and practically loses it. Mana rips open the bottle of holy water at Yoshito, pouring it all on Yuri's hand just in time to break the spell. She is still blown away by Bonehead's mischief. To think he would go this far to plan his attack after the holy water wears. That's some extra-level strategy for a brain rot like him. All of a sudden, Yoshito receives a full blast of the red log screens, blinding his vision. A second later, he calms down, knowing this is all flashing the ring's effect. Having a look at the corpse's grudge ring, he wonders how much longer it's going to take. Out of the blue, the ring potentially cracks, leaking out an immense surge of ominous energy, catching Yoshito totally off guard. While Yuri and Mana's side chatter wouldn't end, Yoshito is busy winging his hand to control this blast of smoke that's getting out of hand now. He wonders if the ring has any plans to explode itself because he wouldn't want to be caught up in that. After many struggles, Yoshito doesn't get why this thing won't come off already. A bolt from the blue, this ring leaks out a purplish glow. Drenched in sweat, Yoshito's stressing like a total freak. Breaking into a nervous sweat, his heart is pounding like there is no tomorrow. He can't make sense of what's going on until a red log screen pops up. Reading it, he confirms that the ring, Corpse's Grudge, has outdone itself, reaching its maximum number. That said, this ring did a quick transformation into a corroded ring. Taking a long sigh of relief, he couldn't believe he got worked up for this. Mana and Yuri notice the fuss brewing at Yoshito's sight, asking what's wrong. Thus, he fills them in, revealing that something's weird with his drop item. Now that it's settling down, he takes it off. Afterward, he asks what's next for them. Considering Yuri's near-death experience, Mana thinks Yuri deserves a timeout. Thus, they plan to gather the magic stones and call it quits for today. Yuri feels pretty bad for letting them down, but Mana tells her to chill. Gathering up every last bit of strength, Yuri plunges to dig up all the magic stones to make up for it. A few minutes later, Yuri, sweating bullets, battles the skeleton fearlessly while Mana and Yoshido root for her. Even after hours of exploring, Yuri is still going strong, her eyes reeking of excitement. Meanwhile, Yoshito is done, and even Mana is struggling to keep up. Yuri is still fired up and has no plans of stopping. Later on, Persephone's conquest goes on without any interruption. Thanks to the flood of challengers, the 30th floor boss room was discovered in just a week. But there's a catch: nobody has cracked their way in. Back at the bureau, Yoshito overhears two clueless chumps gossiping about the sealed boss room of Persephone, with no means of getting in. Right then, Mana and Yuri pop by, and Mana's got a secret to spill. She lets Yoshido know that her acquaintance spotted a clue that could open the boss room. All of a sudden, she chants, "As a proof of many deaths, raise a proof of decay." None of them knows how to make sense of it. Just then, Yuri comes forth to share her intel, claiming that many have gotten their hands on the death ring. Yuri spills the tea that most challengers believe it is some kind of key. But Yoshido knows that no other ring dropped down, no matter how many skeletons he killed so far. Still, equipping the ring wouldn't open the boss room. Suddenly, this short phrase echoes in his mind, and he is quick to catch on. Without further ado, Yoshido rises up and lets the ladies know that he got it figured. And just like that, Yoshido spills the beans that only his ring is the key to opening the boss room. That means he is the sole person who could open up the boss room. Upon arriving at the magic tower on Persephone's 30th floor, the ladies enjoy the view with no care in the world, like it's a walk to the park. Meanwhile, Yoshito, nervously jittering, is pissing his pants, knowing that there is still a chance of his theory getting debunked. If that happens, he imagines the girls just bullying him, crushing his soul. He couldn't stand the thought of them looking down on him, thinking he was really a loser. Yuri's voice cuts through Yoshito's panic, snapping him out of it. She demands to know how he figured the ring could open the boss room. Gulping down, he tries acting cool despite having a meltdown. He explains that reaching the maxed limits of the death ring forces a quick transformation to a normal ring. That tipped him off into guessing it. The girls, totally stunned, didn't know Yoshito was a quick-witted genius to crack this one. But then it clicks. Knowing that Yoshito went through a chain of deaths horrifies the ladies. Given that he has infinite revival, it actually makes perfect sense. Shrugging it off, he lets them know that this ring no longer has any effects whatsoever. From buffs to curse immunity, it's all empty like a normal ring. Even then, something about it feels off, which is how he figured out this can be presented as proof of decay after death. Knowing it makes sense, Mana and Yuri beam at him, praising his quick thinking. And just like that, Yoshito, having the mic drop moment, goes red. Even then, deep down, he is praying hard for it to work, as he is depending on it. Gripping the ring as his life depended on it, Yoshito twists into pure desperation. If this flops, he knows that he is done for. Upon arriving at Persephone's 30th floor, Mana gives her best try to open the boss room, but the door doesn't even flinch. Giving up, Mana leaves the rest to Yoshito. The lad feels the heavy pressure choking his throat. Walking to it, Yoshito starts up his self-TED talk, manifesting that his prediction can't be a lie. Like it was second nature, Yoshito stands close to the boss room, flexing his corroded ring, loudly telling the door to open up. However, the room stays dead silent, with no rumbling of doors or magical glow. His face turns totally pale with embarrassment, like his soul is about to leak out. This thing was a total flop. Yoshito's fear came alive, while Yuri and Mana believed that this might be a time-consuming process or something. Feeling their judgment creeping in, Yoshito gives this one another try by fist-bumping in the air. The ring glows, and the door automatically opens up, saving Yoshito from further embarrassment. The door creaks open, and Yoshito thanks the divine forces that made it all happen. But the relief is actually short-lived. The lad remembers that he has to face the boss inside, so he better gear up. Facing the boss of Persephone's 30th floor has got to be much stronger than Hermes. He believes that it ought to be on a whole different level. Just as he turns to regroup, a massive hand shoots out of the darkness and yanks him inside like a rag doll. He barely catches sight of Mana and Yuri's stunned faces, asking them to get out of there. But a little too late for that, as the door slams shut. A chilling energy floods the room, making the air super intense. The ultimate boss drops, flexing his immense power that sends chills down their spine. That's when Yoshido realizes that they have no other option left but to take this guy head on. There's a heavy tension brewing inside this room, as things are about to go wild around here. This trio, including Yoshito, Yuri, and Mana, faces the big guy, aka Elder Bone Priest, who's been muttering gibberish since don't know when. Without wasting another second, the Bone Priest lit up the whole room, making it a no-go zone. That only makes it even worse. But to turn it up a notch, he calls for reinforcements, sending out his undead folks to join the party. These follower skeletons of the Elder Bone Priest are itching to rip apart these infiltrators. Yoshido is quick to catch on that the 30th floor boss has its own perks. Being a boss monster with a legit backup of his legion of minions, he predicts their downfall if he doesn't deal with this number quickly. Without wasting another second, Yoshito launches into the air at full speed and swirls. Thus, he is all ready to butcher them all, ignoring the useless bunch to save time. Carving his path to the boss, Yoshito proves to be really hasty when striking the big boss. Just then, Elder Bone Priest does no more delay in almost obliterating Yoshito, but he dodges just in time. He flinches at the sight of their flawless defense, giving him a tough time already. All busy dealing with the boss, Yoshito didn't sense the skeleton soldiers advancing at him from all possible directions. Just then, the skeleton soldier from behind pierces Yoshito's chest with his sword, and he pukes out blood in surprise. That totally catches him off guard. Just like that, a log screen notifies him that he has died, with a debuff of defense 40. But then, inversion applies with a defense of plus 40. With an instant power-up, Yoshito's defense has jumped up a notch, engaging in a fierce battle against the skeleton soldier. Right in the middle of the brawl, Yoshito notices this pile of bones handling the attacking weight and their reaction speed. All of it is on a whole different level on the 30th floor. Drenching in sweat, Yoshito can't handle one of the boss's minions, let alone an army of them. The lad is racking his brain, but unable to think of a solution. Suddenly, this bone troop straight up starts bullying him, smashing his face into the dirt. Right next to the boss's knees, he felt like a total loser, until he hears out a big commotion. That's when he realizes that Bony Troop has started ganging up on Mana and Yuri. Without wasting another second, Yuri shoots off a water tornado attack to sway the skeleton soldiers. She thought it worked, but it was a big failure. The skeletons just keep coming, one after another, totally unfazed by the attack. Meanwhile, Mana got her hands full, swinging the blade like crazy and trying to keep them off her back. This girl is barely keeping up now. They are badly cornered, and the Bony Troop continues to outnumber them. Watching the whole thing, Yoshito knows the girls are in for a bloody mess if they don't think of something real quick. However, Yoshito has trouble heading her way, as Priest cooks up a nasty ritual and slashes Yoshito's arms, without any prior consent. Letting out a blood-curdling cry that sends a chill down anyone's spine, the boss continues to play around, toying with Yoshito. Begging him to stop, Yoshito drops headfirst to the ground, totally losing his mind. In mere seconds, Elder Bone Priest orders, and Yoshito's flesh burst into bits, painting the whole floor bloody red. Swimming in his own blood, he is tortured to death. He died and the Bone Priest laughed like a maniac. Flashes of the past slam in Yoshito's mind. In just a second, a shockwave rips through his spine, and his whole body gets 1,000 volts of shock. Panic washes over him, and before he knows it, a piercing cry screams at the top of his lungs. He is unable to shake off this feeling, with chunks of his past life's memories filming in his mind. Worst of all, his own hands won't stop shivering. After dying over and over again, Yoshito finally hits his breaking point. Gripping his face, he lets out a scream like he has completely lost it. A blood-curdling cry rips through the air and his whole body shakes. He slams headfirst into the ground. For a moment, he is just still, with his eyes empty and lifeless. There's no light in them anymore. But then, realization hits him hard like a ton of bricks, wondering if he doesn't snap out of this. Then, Mana and Yuri are nothing but dead meat. Initiating the infinite revival in 7 seconds, he rises back up, refusing to give up just yet. However, he has no clue why he wouldn't stop shivering so much. Right then, he dies and thinks of respawning somewhere else to avoid this horror again. A few seconds later, Yoshito respawns at a different location, determined to save Mana and Yuri. The girls are at their limits and panicking like crazy as the skeleton soldiers corner them. Yoshito let out a big scream, but his body wouldn't stop trembling. The lad can't even flinch a muscle, let alone take a step. He feels utterly disgusted at himself for not being able to move his body and letting the girls get pummeling to death on his watch. Out of nowhere, tears well in his eyes at the thought of facing the Elder Bone Priest again. To his surprise, someone from outside blasts a fireball to melt down the door. Yoshito's eyes widened in shock as he didn't see this coming. He notices a big shot, packing a hero figure, casually entering the scene. The new guy awkwardly excuses himself for bursting in uninvited. However, he didn't expect someone's already here. Judging by the looks of it, things aren't looking great to the new. Meanwhile, Yoshito is still processing his dramatic entrance, so the skeletons see their chance to attack. Charging in, ready to smash Yoshito into bits, the new guy dives in, saving Yoshito in the nick of time. He drops in to lend this youngster a hand. With a quick intro drop, he calls himself the Dominator King Kagura Okiomi, assuring Yoshito that nobody dies on his watch. Suddenly, Yoshito recalls the Dominator King title only refers to those who have conquered great magic towers that go beyond 100 floors. Only a few heroic dominators exist in Japan's vicinity. Putting everything aside, King drives all the focus to dominate this floor with flames. Without even thinking, he launches Floga Ellenhos, the fiery tornado that fries all the bone freaks surrounding this place. Yoshito's jaw drops to the floor to see everything turning into a freaking inferno. That stunt catches the eyes of the Elder Bone Priest. Jumping in action, Dominator King has no plans of letting the boss escape. That said, he unleashes his wrath upon the 30th floor boss, going full-on berserk mode. A few seconds later, Yoshito witnesses the fall of Elder Bone Priest at the hands of the Dominator King. Out of the blue, Dominator King calls back Yoshito's attention, letting Yoshito have the last hit. That takes him by surprise. King tells Yoshito that his face screams pure horror for some reason, asking him to deal with it right now. Taking a moment to get a hold of himself, Yoshito thanks the big guy for his wisdom. That's when Yoshito dashes in the air and lands a big hit, settling scores with the Elder Bone Priest. Seeing Yoshito put an end to Elder Bone Priest, the corner of Dominator Kogura's mouth lifted in a side smirk. Feeling low-key impressed, he notices Yoshito finally winning over his fears. In a flash, Yoshito admits to having gained control of his body again. Well, that settles it, so King Dominator Kogura does the honors of congratulating the Dominator of Persephone, Yoshito. The dude's jaw just fell off in shock, as this struck him like a thunderbolt. He argues with the big guy that he only landed a final hit and nothing else. He straight up refuses to believe otherwise, as King Kogura is the actual Dominator here. But the big guy brushes it off, revealing the vicar who defeats the boss gets to have the reward. Thus he desires to let Yoshito have it all, requesting Yoshito and others to use it all to get even stronger. As they all gathered up, sharing a laugh together, King Kogura got sentimental at seeing the younger generation flourishing. He assures Yoshito's crew that he isn't short on money. Plus, he reveals his partner in crime weapons, which is why he has no other reason not to let the younger generation opt for the best items to get stronger. Instead, he requests Yoshito to let him have a look at the weapon he just won. Letting out a goofy laugh, he is curious to see what sort of weapon was it anyway. Yoshito checks out Kogura's vibes to be a lot similar to Mana somehow. Picking up Arcanum Aqua, he whips it out of the inventory, and Kogura notices a magical staff only good for the magic users. In that case, Yoshito hands it over to Yuri, who is shocked to her core. The truth hit her all at once. Yuri claims to be not deserving of it at all, but Yoshito desires to let Yuri have a try. Yuri isn't up for this, considering Mana and her weren't any help at all in any boss fight. Neither of them cut out to be his equal enough to form a party with him. Still, Yoshito tries to reason with them, but in vain. Kogura just watches in silence, feeling bad for the poor guy. Even Mana is like, that he practically sees them as something to protect in the battle. And suddenly, Yoshito felt this huge distance between them. Just as then, Mana lets him know their final decision, which is to grow even stronger. That hit him like a tsunami. Yuri has decided to deal with Persephone all by themselves now. Only then will they soon match his pace to make a big comeback. Thus, Yuri requests to Yoshito that until then keep the staff. However, Yoshito throws it to Yuri, considering she will need this even more now. Just now, the log screen notifies the defeat of Persephone's boss, and initiates the forced transportation. Bidding them farewell, Kogura admires their maturity, while Yoshito feels lonely already. That's when Kogura throws him an offer to hang out with him for a bit. Somehow Yoshito ends up with a casual invite, and not just from anyone but from the Dominator King Kogura himself. This wasn't in Yoshito's bingo card, but he couldn't care less, as he is going through somewhat of a breakup. When asked, Kogura comes clean that he is called by the chief of the Metropolitan Management Bureau of Tokyo. Coming all the way here from the central region, he has already figured it's gotta be something nasty. As it turns out, Kogura just randomly decided to show up at Persephone, just to pass the time, only to come across Yoshito here. Yoshito demands to know his reasons for wasting his time on the likes of him of all people. Looking back, Yoshito recalls Kogura being still in the dark about the infinite revival. He isn't sure why he caught Dominator King's interest. When asked, Kogura mentions Fuyune letting him in on the next generation's promising Dominator, who goes by the name Yoshito. Yoshito's eyes lit up, unable to believe that Chief used such high-class words for him. Loving the moment, Kogura nods a yes. All the while, Kogura confesses to feeling a shockwave at hearing Yoshito's name in the boss room, while he thought of him as the regular guy at first. Still, Yoshito feels down for not doing enough in the boss room. Giving a wink, Kogura raises his spirits, asking him to put in more effort and he is good to go. Furthermore, Kogura initiates a bro-mode shopping spree to kill time even more. He claims the Dominator King is down to buying him whatever he sets his eyes on, and he is ready to school the lad how the money works and how to handle the cash in Dominator style. That gets Yoshito hooked up. Moments later, King Koguro and Yoshito walk out like big mafias about to rob the World Bank. Not to mention, they straight up waltz into the management bureau, looking like spoiled divas. A few moments of silence until Rito breaks the ice, asking why. That hurt Yoshito's feelings, but in Rito's defense, that gotta be the hideous outfit out here. That said, Kogura calms Yoshito down, asking him to face the harsh reality. He drops a statement that Dominator King's title surely brings a buttload of money, but that's all useless without any fashion sense. But Yoshito doesn't like this messed up judgy society. Standing up for himself, he questions Chief Rito's fashion choices to wear sloppy clothes. That gotta hit her nerves, so she slams down the major evidence of her trendy fashion sense being the top hits of Tokyo. One look and Yoshito bows down. Bursting into laughter, Kogura gets down to business. In a blink of an eye, Rito explains his new commotion of carrying out a large-scale operation at the huge magic-infested place, Kanto. Apparently, they are targeting the magic tower, Zeus. With the uncontrollable death toll and discoveries of further floors, Chief Rito can no longer overlook this. Rito has it all planned, with Zeus's treasure equally distributed to all the volunteers. Not only that, Rito includes frontliners and back supporters, all lined up in better sequence to benefit their purpose. However, she is quick to reveal that Magic Tower Zeus's level is beyond their recognition. To reduce the casualties, she assigns Yoshito and the conqueror of Hephaestus, Kogura, to lead this task force. Kogura is down to lending his hand, while Yoshito sees no other choice but to go along with it. Suddenly, Kogura insists on taking Yoshito to the front lines, and Rito gives that a green signal. That knocks the wind out of Yoshito. That settles it. Kogura counts on Yoshito's best efforts. Upon their arrival at the Magic Tower, Proteus, Kogura, and Yoshito, all geared up, are ready to pass the time while leveling up. It comes to pass that Rito allotted a little time to ensure clear-cut preparation in matters of conquering Zeus. For now, she requests they kill time until further orders. That raises the occasion. Koguro takes the details of a nearby magic tower. Kogura has already made up his mind to whip the little guy into shape before tossing him into the big fight. Thus, it's time to toughen up a little. Sweating bullets like crazy, Yoshito questions if he has any options to turn this down. Cracking up, Kogura gives out a flat no. Even then, Yoshito doesn't get why him, of all people. With that, Kogura is quick to answer. He comes so clean that he wishes to see him grow stronger, as nobody else cuts the mark. That catches Yoshito off guard. For leveling up, Rito suggests they check out Proteus's magic tower. Not much of a high-class place, but she claims to see some top-tier monsters crawling that zone. Plus, she spills the beans on receiving a report on digging up the large magic stone mining, which sparks up the fame rate. And just like that, Kogura has already made plans to finish off the boss. The dude's jaw just fell off. Yoshito's paying his best attention so far. Reaching there, Kogura wishes to see Yoshito's big guns. He desires to catch sight of Yoshito's set limits to get a better understanding of it. With a long sight, Yoshito gears up real quick. That said, Yoshito is down to give this a shot. Kogura turns to Yoshito, dead serious. That said, Yoshito, letting out his inner beast rage in full-on beast mode. With a clash of swords, Yoshito and this knight go one-on-one in battling with each other. Right in between, the knight spots an opening, while Yoshito isn't the type to care much for defenses. Without wasting another second, the knight lifts up his massive sword to get this over with. However, Yoshito, the chillest dude alive, notices such a huge swing. With that said, Yoshito kicks it off with a bone-chilling strike. That tipped it off. Meanwhile, Yoshito thinks his last hit might ought to do the trick. However, Kogura catches on quickly to spot the knight going in with a sneaky attack. Although Kogura wouldn't mind letting a hand. But in case of thorough analysis, he needs to figure out where Yoshito's strength lies. Not only that, he is still pretty curious to know Yoshito's abilities. Just as then, the knight's spear carves a hole in his chest. Totally caught off guard, Kogura feels sorry for letting him go through this all by himself. With one fine hit, Yoshito's body lays back in the field out cold. Witnessing this, the knight chuckles at this sight. In mere seconds, Yoshito hits the infinite revival button and straight up rises from the dead. Thus, the first-hand look at the infinite revival, Kogura finally lays eyes on this younger, who can never truly die. For that very reason, Kogura nods in approval, seeing Yoshito's traits earning him a spot as Kogura's partner. Yoshito yanks the knight's spear out of the way. Right about now, Yoshito declares to this metalhead that losing a weapon means losing the battle. However, the knight sneakily attacks Yoshito, piercing his chest yet again. He lost to the knight, dying in the battle while getting the death penalty. Just as inversion kicks in for Tech 16+, Yoshito is back on his feet for the second time. Without further ado, Yoshito unleashes his inner beast, ready to go full-on berserk mode to deal with this knight. However, it's pretty unusual for Yoshito not to even land one hit. Countering his opponent, Yoshito is practically breaking a nervous sweat. He clearly can't strike a decisive blow, which makes him close to having a nervous breakdown. All of a sudden, a strange purple lightning strikes Yoshito, which catches his sight just in time. That said, a full-on beam of light almost hit Yoshito, yanking him out of the way. He refuses to quit just now, and even the knight is pretty resilient in killing Yoshito. And just like that, this big ruckus catches the attention of the other knight, who, soon enough, joins the party. All of a sudden, this crazy spear-like energy landed near him with no prior notice. That turns out to be two vicious creeps out to kill him. Yoshito knows that he is in deep waters. Without wasting another breath, Yoshito dives in, jumping into action. He is taking them head-on, with the help of Phos Aminos. Dodging like a pro, Yoshito is going all out, but that surely doesn't seem to be working. Taking a look at this pace, he is damn sure if this keeps up, he is just as good as dead. With a sudden halt, Koguru put the brakes on, having clearly reached his limit. Without wasting any effort, Koguru dives in to knock the knights out of the way. No doubt, Koguru is convinced that Yoshito's powers are one of a kind. That aside, Koguru decides that it's time to let his power take a swing at these cockroaches. And just like that, the whole room turns into a freaking huge inferno. That left Yoshito reeling, but Koguru calls for his attention. Although Koguru felt like showing off even more, but he got a good enough understanding of Yoshito's strength. Koguru, feeling disappointed in himself, hates losing his chance to gloat. Especially, The lad had the whole story and plan to mimic Yoshito's desperation for life and fighting. Now, that causes a rumble of words as these two bicker nonsensically. Moments later, Yoshito demands to know Kogaru's plans ahead. Up next, Kogaru recalls a large stone mine ahead filled with stone-absorbing monsters and crystallized mana. Having a possibility of coming across high-level monsters, Yoshito teams up with Kogaru to finish off a good amount. Somewhere deep inside the cave, people diligently work to gather magical stones. There, the awakening of an unsettling beast decides to break its silence. Upon their arrival at the 25th floor of Magic Stone's mining area, Yoshito's jaw just fell off when catching such a gorgeous view. He finds this whole thing pretty incredible. Confirming it's his first time here, there wasn't any in Demon Tower. Flashing back, he recalls the last Magic Stone exchange. Just thinking about blowing the reception girl's mind tickles his tummy. That too turned out to be a buttload of money. But to hit a bigger picture, Yoshito is damn sure that if he sells the whole mine, then they will be set for a millennium. That's enough motivation to get the job done. Yoshito is all excited, letting the show run. He declares to start mining this instant in high spirits. To burst his bubble, Kogaru points out that wealth comes from being the top dog, and not everyone can do that. Moreover, Kagura reveals that the magic stones are all clustered in one spot, which means their powers are pretty weak overall. Not only that, the stones suck out the nearby magic power, are low in quality, and mixed with impurities. Even then, there are people who still like mining them. Further on, Kogaru mentions that the Bureau keeps this area under close watch, stationing explorers' defense and maintaining balance. All to set up a safe zone. Noticing the fun trio, Kogaru points at a big need for explorers like that. Watching this trio, Yoshito gets nostalgic to recall his days with Mana and Yuri. The lad feels quite lonely now. All of a sudden, Kagura pulls Yoshito in close, throwing an arm around him like they have been best buds for a day or what. Turns out, Kogaru spotted Yoshito scanning those girls, so he asked if he got a crush on one or two. Yoshito is utterly annoyed and pretty quick to shut it down. Kogaru just sighs and has nothing to kill boredom anymore. Out of nowhere, Kogaru raises a bone-chilling question, asking whom he likes the best, Yuri, Mana, or maybe Rito. Kogaru wouldn't budge at all, and keep stretching this stuff far too long. Even Yuri's getting a chill down her spine. Without further ado, Yoshito asks Kogaru, "What's up with training?" But Kogaru wouldn't quit the topic of romance. He is sure Yoshito got a thing for tsundere. Ignoring his rants, Yoshito overhears the ladies planning to dive deeper. However, their mining halts at the point of unusual ultimate hardness. Out of the blue, the trio couldn't stop bickering until a state of immense tension settled in. They didn't know what was coming, but Yoshito spotted the entity that was pretty close to squashing the trio like bugs. Witnessing this giant rock-faced creeper, the ladies flinch at this sight. Without wasting another second, Yoshito dives in headfirst to finish off this monster. That said, Yoshito asks the girls to head to safety with a gentle smile to win their hearts. He tried giving off the coolest look ever, but the crystals piercing his flesh made it tough to do so. Right then, he doesn't regret dying if he ends up saving someone. However, he dreams of the day to save people in a cool way like Dominator King Kogaru. He wishes to turn out just like him. After crushing the magic towers, taking down bosses, and stacking a mountain pile of cash, Yoshito thinks of eliminating all the stress-related money problems one day. But then what? He wonders what's next for him after achieving these goals. He is practically lost on what to do next. That's when Kagura steps into Persephone, being his ray of light. Yoshito always thought of being an explorer, but saving others is a lot cooler than this. Just as he is caught up in his thoughts, crazy mining monster flattens him like a pancake, which ends his life. Claiming the debuff of INT 34, but inversion kicks in of INT plus 34, and he is reviving back. One thing is pretty clear. To reach his ideal, he better give his all out to training to level up his skill and experience. All fired up, Yoshito revives back to challenge the Mind Beast and lands a skull-shattering strike. But this freak's head is rock solid, making it hard to cut through. Collapsing on his knees, he wonders where the heck Kogaru went off to. Right then, Kogaru is helping in evacuating this area safely. He assures the guards that his partner will take down the monster and handle the responsibility. His face lit up. Kogaru has full confidence in Yoshito to pull this off. In the meantime, Yoshito is all ready to unleash his true beast, landing multiple strikes to cut through its skin. Suddenly, Kogaru calls his attention, asking if he possesses any intelligence. That ticks off, believing the guy is actually calling him brain rot in the middle of the battle. Cracking up, he clears up the big misunderstanding that he means the status INT, not the smart one. Furthermore, Kogaru urges Yoshito to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Instead of just charging in, take a good few minutes to observe carefully and read the battlefield. That said, Kogaru is sure the enemy will spill the reason behind its twisted joy, so he lets Yoshito take the lead. In the meantime, Yoshito reflects on intelligence, which either handles magic or controls it. The higher the number, the better control over it, only to wield powerful spells and push magic beyond limits. Courtesy of death penalty that boosted up his INT, but not enough to unleash magic yet. A log screen opens up, notifying Yoshito that he is capable of sensing magic and magic manipulation. That knocks the wind out of him. He couldn't believe his eyes, seeing the magic related just unlocked on its own. Come to think of it, he recalls the last death earning him extra INT points, although he uses the magic sensing beforehand to notice the unusual haze flowing through the mining monster. Yoshido senses the instability of the skill, but he forces himself to focus. Soon he cracks the code. The mining monster is shielding itself by using barrier magic, the secret to its hardness. Not just that, the beast initiates the abuse of magic stones, spamming to fuel its defense. Before he could react, a powerful beam shot straight at Yoshito, slamming him to the wall. Frustration hits hard, but he still hasn't found anything remotely that would help him. Just now he catches something strange. Using magical sensing, the barrier's shell is starting to glitch, and he spots the opening. Yoshit is ready to unleash a single earth-shattering blow that will obliterate its defenses. That ought to end it. Yoshido runs to take the shell off right away and hits it with a powerful blow. The fact that its defensive shell became temporarily unstable due to interference with magic is his chance. If that is the case, by hitting it with an immense amount of magic power, Yoshito should be able to destroy the shell very easily. But right now, to fill the space with magic power, he must first destroy the magic stone. The monster is causing the blue energy beams to strike the ground, causing extreme explosions. The crystals with shards are flying in all directions, but Yoshito uses his sword to destroy those crystals. With this, Yoshito decides to attack the monster, but to his surprise, it cleverly comes from behind to attack Yoshido. But he was already alarmed and uses his magic manipulation, which causes all the magical power to gather, as this skill only has the effect of gathering magical power, but it can neither produce magical power nor use magic. However, if it is only about breaking his shell, he takes out his sword to break the shell, but it doesn't cause too much power, which makes him realize there is still no one powerful enough. But that is not a problem for him as he has got a trump card, which is Phos Animos. He equips it, and the unique skill Chain Burst activates with the slashes of Phos Animos. Yoshido decides to strike a 7-hit combination, where each hit gets stronger than before. While hitting the monster, he plans to add magical power to the last blow, so that it can add extreme intensity to the hit and unleash it with all his might. But the creature attacks Yoshito with its magical stones, a vertical attack descending from above, which causes him to struggle a bit, but he deflects the attack. Yoshito realizes he should rush, as the more magical power overflows, the more it will be returned to him. Though the monster is under attack, Yoshito is moving too fast and dodging the attack, making it difficult for the monster to react. With the dodging effect, the creature won't be able to dodge the attack, and with an immense surge of magical energy, the last strike undergoes a transformation. Meanwhile, Kogura is proudly looking at the intense fight, knowing Yoshito is way beyond his expectations, and at the same time, Yoshito blows away the core and the shell. The result is so intense that it causes an eruption and makes Yoshito sprawl back on the ground far away, finally defeating the monster after putting up a tough and intensive fight. Kogura then goes to Yoshito and helps him stand up. Yoshido asks Kogura if the other challengers are fine, and hearing about their well-being, Yoshido takes a sigh of relief. The challengers are happy as the matter has been dealt with, and they all are safe and sound. In an instant, a power impact occurs, shaking the ground and causing rubble or some sort of material to fall from above. A boundary has been created between Yoshito and the other challengers, including Kogura, most probably purposefully to harm Yoshito only. The other challengers and Kogura warn Yoshito so that he can be saved, but a giant steel fracture broke through the wall, showed up, and fell on Yoshito, which made him dead. Though because of his skill, Inversion reverses the heavy negative effects of the death penalty's permanent debuff caused by infinite revival and turns them all into positive stats. However, this is actually a complete abnormality because monsters with such abilities are quite rare. It is a steel-like serpent creature with an armored appearance, having scary blue eyes that glow, and is now attacking Yoshito. Meanwhile, Yoshito is facing the creature head-on. Kogura can't help but try to calm the situation. According to him, it turns the situation in their favor. He controls this area with scorching heat with the help of his weapon. The heat spreads everywhere in a second, and as the rising heat spreads all around, it causes the steel fracture to become affected by it as well. At least, that is what Yoshito thought. But in reality, Kogura's heat has no effect on the steel fracturer, and it seems that the creature's outer shell has powerful fire resistance, which doesn't harm it at all. Kogura decides that if it's the case, then all he can do is use his sheer power to defeat it. In order to use his sheer power, he wields his sword in the direction of the steel fracture, but the steel fracture also rushes towards him at high speed, opens its mouth, and tries to bite Kogura. But when Kogura moves swiftly from his place, the steel fracture collapses on the ground, missing the hit, which causes an impactful explosion. Kogura then again wields his sword and attacks the body of the steel fracturer, but to his surprise, the steel fracturer has metallic tentacles, making Kogura realize that he never thought this creature would have such a hidden ace up its sleeve, though it is in its true powerful form right now, so it easily throws Kogura back in the air. Witnessing this, Yoshito can't help but try to help Kogura. but he ends up getting attacked by it as one of the tentacles whips across his body, causing extreme pain to spread through his body. Yoshido whimpers in pain, but he doesn't stop because now he has managed to get closer to the creature. So he takes that as an opportunity to turn the tables in his favor. So he lifts his sword with all the strength left in his body and drives the sword right in the monster's eyes, which causes the monster to squirm, tremble in pain, and throw Yoshito to the ground, though Kogura saves him from getting hurt. To their surprise, the monster is now acting totally differently, and instead of hurting them or continuing the fight, it forces itself to move to the lower floors, which is shocking for Yoshito, who wonders if that is even possible. However, it is common sense that monsters become stronger as they go up to the magic tower, but Yoshito explains to Kogura that if such a creature were to attack unprepared lower-level challengers, it would be disastrous for them. Kogura agrees with what Yoshito just said because if they leave it like this, it will definitely do substantial harm. As the monster pushes its way into the lower levels, it creates a giant hole in the ground, which makes it evident to Yoshito and Kogura that the monster really moved between the floors. Normally, because each floor's entryway has a safe zone, monsters are unable to move between floors. However, there are rare cases of monsters with exceptionally strong power that can move between floors using some method, and probably that iron serpent from earlier is likely one of those anomalies. Those unusual beings are categorized by the Management Bureau into a special category and handled appropriately. The special category is named Named Errors. The fact that Yoshito didn't know about it was so surprising that those surprised expressions filled his face, though it is understandable for Kogura, as information about named errors is only shared between the Management Bureau and a selected number of high-level explorers. Kogura and Yoshito then decide to go back. They need to report the situation to the Management Bureau. On the other hand, the other female challengers that were escorted by Kogura are shocked by seeing Yoshito because, according to them, he died earlier. Yoshito chuckles nervously, lies that it was just an illusion, and that he didn't actually die so they don't have to worry about it, but the girls don't really believe it as the blood looks very real. Yoshito sighs and convinces them it was really an illusion. However, they end up thanking Yoshito for saving their lives. Now everyone is evacuated, and they use the teleportation gate and head back to the base. The teleportation gate, if someone uses it, they can teleport to another gate within the same magic tower. They exist on the 1st, 5th, and 10th floors, and every 5 floors and are mostly placed in safe areas. Once someone reaches the floors with these gates, they become usable. Yoshido and Kogura are lucky to have a teleportation gate in the floor they are in. But for explorers on floors without gates, if they are attacked by the Iron Snake, they can't escape. And that is exactly why they need to return to the Management Bureau, to coordinate with Fuyune and the others, and eliminate that irregularity. As they report, the director thanks them, as it has already been confirmed that several people have been injured or killed on the lower floors of Proteus. The Management Bureau has categorized this monster, Steel Fracturer, as a top priority names error of the first named Rook class, requiring immediate emergency response. All explorations in the Great Demon Tower are temporarily suspended, so Rito Fuyune decides to go herself as well and defeat the fractured steel. Kogura informs her that even he and Yoshito together couldn't defeat it, so he suggests her to the personnel. He will go himself, but Rito Fuyune smirks, transforms her hand into a mechanical gadget, and assures them not to worry, as this time she will go herself and take care of everything. After battling Yoshito and his team on the 25th floor, a steel fracturer descended to the 8th floor and attacked nearby challengers. Now, they are at the Magic Tower, Proteus's 8th floor. Rito Fuyune informs them reports from her subordinates who moved forward state that there are still earthquakes audible on this floor, the target is still nearby, and they cannot let it escape. However, Yoshito finds it weird as her subordinates arrive ahead of her, and she is not worried about them getting attacked by the Iron Serpent. Though, Fuyune tells him not to worry about that. All the adventurers dispatched by the Bureau were wiped out, but this time, the team sent to Proteus is pretty skilled and specialized. As they are talking, the team has arrived. That is, the special task force under the direct control of the director of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government's Management Bureau, commonly known as the Hyuka Squad. One of the guys from the squad informs Fuyune about them finishing the investigation of the surroundings, and as expected, intermittent earthquakes are continuing on this floor. The target is likely resting inside the wall, causing earthquakes whenever it moves. The same guy from that squad spots Kogura and refers to him as the Great Challenger, and bows down in front of him in respect, which confuses Yoshito. However, the guy shows his appreciation towards Kogura for his cooperation, because originally it would have been ideal if the Hyuka squad could handle it alone. His attention then shifts to Yoshito, calling him a certified threat, someone on par with the boss of the Magic Tower. By fighting alongside him, they can minimize casualties. Though Yoshito finds it confusing, Kogura steps forward, assuring the man that with them here, there won't be any casualties at all. This is kind of reassuring for the whole squad. In an instant, the ground started shaking, and it was coming from directly below. Suddenly, the ground tears apart from the middle, and the steel fractures appear. more aggressive than before. The Hyuga squad takes their positions and gets prepared for the battle with their magical swords. The coordinated movement is the trademark of the Hyuga squad, and they can easily take down mid-level bosses. However, that Iron Serpent is in a different league. Even the elite Ice Hyuga won't last long against it because it is more powerful and aggressive than before. By judging the situation, Kogura and Yoshito get ready with their weapons to attack the creature. They rush towards the creature at a very fast speed so that it doesn't have any chance to get away with the attacks. Then they block it from the front and the back and attack it with powerful blows. Due to the powerful intensity of the attacks, explosions erupt, filling the area with smoke. The creature takes this as an opportunity and tries getting away into the tunnel. But Fuyuni notices this move and doesn't let it get through there. Yoshito and Kogura are impressed seeing her body enhancement and high-speed movement through magic control, and on top of that, the unique skill, Frost, as she can easily freeze any area she wants to. She stands her ground firmly, while Kogura advises Yoshito to keep his eyes peeled to witness Fuyune's speed. Fuyuni is really fast. She fights with a metallic serpent while dodging all its attacks. The metallic serpent can be seen struggling, but confidence is evident on Fuyune's face. She flies in the air to attack its face, and as she swings the sword, she ends up slicing through the metallic body. Fuyuni's rhyme ice amplifies her magical power to the utmost limit, and Fuyun is a literary genius at magic control. She unleashes attacks so sharp utilizing her vast magical power that they send shivers down anybody's spine. That's Rito Fuyun, the true form of the bureau chief. The metallic serpent is now collapsed on the ground because of the sharp attacks. Now, Fuyune tells her team to get ready for the elimination of the first-class, designated entity. But as soon as she goes near it to give the final blow, metallic tentacles suddenly spring to life, whipping through the air in all directions. At this rate, all the members of the squad can't even get close. They stand frozen in confusion as they wonder what to do for their next steps. But before they could figure out anything, Yoshito rushes towards the creature, only for the tentacles of the monster to dig deep into his body, and he instantly dies, causing a 24 vitality. A permanent debuff will be applied as a death penalty, but debuff reversal is confirmed, and he obtains a plus 24 vitality because of his inversion skill. Yoshito is now hanging on the body of that steel serpent, though he mocks the creature that if it goes on a rampage like that, others won't be able to get close, except for him because even if he dies, he won't let go. Though he successfully managed to latch on by changing his respawn location, his mind races. What should he do next? Instantly, the creature starts moving at a very high speed, trying to shake him off and trying to attack him with his tentacles. It twists and turns, flying through the air in an attempt to throw him loose. At the same time, its tentacles lash out, attacking him from all directions. But Yoshito holds on with all his strength, refusing to let go. No matter how much the creature thrashed, his grip remained firm. When the creature realizes that Yoshito is not letting go, it goes inside the upper layer of the Proteus and throws him onto the ground. Yoshito whimpers in pain but forces himself to stand. As he steadies himself, he realizes that the place he is in is quite unfamiliar. Tension grows thicker in the environment, and Yoshito is unsure of what he is going to do next. Yoshito scans the place, wondering if this is just like other normal floors. But when he examines it, sweat coats his head because it is the metallic serpent's nest. The serpent stands there while its tentacles surround Yoshito, and as he runs, the deadly tentacles follow him. Yoshito knows it's not practical to take down the Iron Snake alone, so he decides to go get the director and the others as well, because they should face it with everyone's maximum firepower. To go and get them, he needs to run away because the serpent is now aware of the fact that Yoshito wants to leave. Yoshito uses all the energy left in his body and runs with it while tentacles follow him to kill him, its tentacles stretching out like steel whips, aiming to strike him down before he can escape. Though Yoshito dodges its attacks, somehow gets away from them, and throws himself into the passage, rolling to the other side. Back to where the squad, Chief, and Kogura are, Yoshito finally reunites with them and apologizes for the sudden disappearance, but reveals the discovery he made. He explains to everyone that he found Iron Snake's lairs on the upper floors, and if all of them attack it together, they can end this once and for all. Curiously, Rito Fuyune questions Yoshito if he noticed any unusually colored magic stones there, so Yoshito realizes when she mentions it that there were magic stones of a different color from those in the mining area. Rito sighs as it all makes sense to her now. She elaborates, during the last battle, the Ice Flower Squad analyzed the Iron Snake's structure. Target turns out to be powered by high-purity magic. The magic stones found in this demon tower were all impure, so Rito predicted that there must be an area with high-purity magic stones. The ones that Yoshito saw were those high-purity stones. That being said, Yoshito understands that the director's prediction was accurate. Since the magic stones are only powering its nest, the steel fracturer can't leave the nest, even if it is risky. So now they decide, this time, they will definitely finish it for good. As Rito moves forward, she suddenly pauses and asks Yoshito to lead the way because now she is impressed by him. Pressing forward, they arrive at the location, noticing the creature eating the magic stones, probably to refuel its energy. The squad members pant as climbing this ledge is pretty hard, but they are impressed by Yoshito's skills as he climbed it very easily. However, without wasting a single second, Rito equips her weapon, orders everyone to get ready for the battle, and tells them to give it everything they have got, because it is only possible with everyone's full strength to destroy their target. The whole team is aligned now, prepared to attack the monstrous creature. The serpent is screeching loudly, which pauses the movement of all the people there. However, Kagura decides that as a conqueror, he can't afford to witness any more suffering. Therefore, he will put all his efforts into this, and just like this, he rushes towards the creature, preparing an attack with his weapon. Kagura is in the middle of swinging his weapon, but the creature opens his mouth to counterattack while Kagura moves forward swiftly, and flames follow his movements. He then attacks the creature with a very high speed, which creates an explosion of debris in the surrounding area. This attack was so powerful that Yoshito assumed probably the creature would collapse now. But to their surprise, the creature is acting more dangerous now as it takes out multiple tendrils with sharp tips again, and they follow the other members of the squad. Kagura realizes even with such immense attacks, he still can't defeat it. However, those tendrils surround the ground. The squad members try not to let their guard down and stay firm to deflect the attacks, but those steel whip-like chains kill half of the squad members. Sweat coats everyone's forehead when they realize that the situation is getting worse than before. Meanwhile, the alive squad member screams and grieves for his companions, not noticing that he is about to be attacked. Fortunately, Yoshito arrives there in time, deflects the attack, and protects the guy. He advises the guy. Grieving for the fallen comrade comes later because if he dies too, no one will be left to honor them or their sacrifice. The guy understands what Yoshito just said and makes himself believe that he will get through this. Kagura asks Yoshito for their strategy as the enemy's attacks are overwhelming them. They both stand there unsure of their next step. But in an instant, the ground turns into ice as Rito Fuyune uses her Frostbite ultimate expansion. Her expressions are darkened now. She apologizes to everyone and takes the blame, thinking only if she were stronger, no one would have been hurt at all. Yoshito calls out her name to understand the situation, but she doesn't seem to listen and assures everyone that she will make it up to everyone. As she apologizes to everyone, she moves forward towards the creature, who sends its large, sharp-edged chains toward Rito. Though she dodges those attacks very easily. However, those sharp-edged chains surround her from every corner, and the creature doesn't miss any spot. But still she deflects those attacks and counterattacks the creature, which doubles its anger, though it tries running away. But now Fuyune has trapped it, and she lifts her sword to take its head off with that icy sword of hers. But before she could do that, the creature moves swiftly, making Fuyune miss that hit. In an instant, the creature shakes its body while its chains are moving in the air to hit her, due to which she loses her firm grip on the ground and collapses. The creature causes disastrous debris all over the place, due to which Fuyune is crushed under it while her weapon is flung to the far corner. Evaluating the circumstances and noticing her strong weapon, Yoshito knows he has to do something, though his faux anmanos is not sharp enough to sever the head of an iron snake. But if it is that sword imbued with her magic, then it could definitely create some difference. Yoshito gathers his courage and steps forward to attack the creature. The creature waits for him to move so that it can attack him accordingly. He trembles in fear, but then sighs as he decides to let it have him. But the price will be steep. He rushes towards it, but as he sees the monster following him, he changes his direction, smirking and knowing very well that he can't move as fast as the director. But there is definitely one way to ensure a single, guaranteed strike, which will surely turn the situation upside down. There is only one way to surely land a hit, and that is him being dead. As a death penalty, a permanent debuff of STR-34 is applied, but in a second debuff reversal confirmed, making the strength STR plus 34. He then smartly alters his respawn location, and as the respawn point is designated, it is already in front of him. Normally, Yoshito would never agree to such a method, but this was the most clever move to get close to the monstrous creature, and just like that, he easily cuts through its body and ends up slicing its head in half pieces. As it falls on the ground, its weight causes an extreme explosion. Kogura witnesses everything proudly. The guys left from the squad are in utter disbelief. Meanwhile, Fuyune walks towards him, appreciates his efforts, and thanks him because now the deaths of her subordinates won't have been in vain. Yoshito gives a warm smile to Fuyune, but his expression changes when he gets the notification. The boss of the Demon Tower, Porteus, has been defeated. As rewards, unique equipment and magic stones have been sent to his inventory. Yoshito's jaw drops when he realizes he just defeated the boss. However, Fuyune stands there calmly because it is understandable, so she explains that earlier, he mentioned that this Demon Tower, Proteus, didn't have any noticeable features, but that was a mistake as she has been reviewing the reports on the monsters in Proteus, a monster that camouflages itself as a rock, a monster that can transform its arms. And there are several other reports, but what they all have in common is that they were hiding their true forms. On the contrary, Proteus was definitely the boldest in concealing its true form by roaming within the Demon Tower. So the conclusion is, the Iron Serpent was the boss of this Demon Tower. Usually the boss doesn't leave the top floor's boss room, so this was quite a rare and unbelievable case. Still, Yoshito was a little hesitant as he ended up being the one to finish off the boss, but without the director, Rito Fuyune, Kogura, and the strength of the Ice Blossom squad, they wouldn't have been able to defeat it. He admits that he talked big most of the time before getting into the battlefield, but in the end, they couldn't do it without sacrifices. After a few minutes, they get a notification about the Proteus disappearing in 10 seconds and forced teleportation to begin shortly. Later on, at the director's office of the Management Bureau, Yoshito hands Rito Fuyune the unique equipment he obtained in Proteus. He also gives her the magic crystals, though she wonders if this is a prank or something, as she was not expecting him to give her these as well. But for Yoshito, this boss raid was a collective achievement, and it wouldn't be right for him to keep it all to himself, so he has decided to entrust all the rewards to the Bureau. When she looks at Kogura, Yoshito informs her that he has already agreed on this, so she should use it to support the other adventurers. When Fuyune agrees to their request, they leave but end up running into the guy from the squad earlier. He introduces himself as Ryudo. He tells them that he has been waiting for them. He has a request. He hesitates but elaborates. The assault on the Great Demon Tower Zeus will begin soon. The Ice Blossom Squad, which specializes in dealing with named errors, is also scheduled to be deployed as part of the forces, and he has been entrusted with leading the Ice Blossom Squad, but after the last battle, he realized how inadequate his strength is. The fact that he doesn't want to lose any more comrades like he did the last time, so he wants Yoshito to train him. Yoshito's eyes widened as he was not expecting a request like this coming from a leader of the squad, but the guy kept requesting him to train him. It has been a month since they all defeated the Steel Fracturer, and right now, Ryudo, leader of the Ice Blossom Squad, is fighting off his opponent, Kogura, as both Yoshito and Kogura are fulfilling their promise of making Ryudo strong. All three of them have been practicing together within the past month because of the training. Ryudo's movements have been pretty swift, and he has been able to dodge the powerful attacks by Kogura easily, which is pretty impressive for Kogura. But still, if Kogura uses his extreme power, they both are still too soft in front of him, so he asks both of them to give him everything they have got. Throwback to a month ago, when Ryudo begged Yoshito to train him, he softly declined his request, as he is also not strong enough to teach someone else, and he is still in the middle of his training too, Proteus being a part of that process too. But Ryudo doesn't seem to understand as he forces him that if he is going through some training, then he also wants to undergo the same training as him. Seeing both of them desperate to be strong, Kogura steps forward and volunteers himself to take care of both of them. Until the assault on Zeus begins, he decides to drill both of them in ways of battle, and from that day to the present day, they have been working hard to make themselves strong. This past month, Yoshito has been training alongside Ryudo in the Demon Tower and the training room. Even the skills that cannot be covered by status points should be significantly honed by now, but Yoshito always feels like he can never catch up to Kogura, as he is just way too strong. However, Omiko reminds them while training that during the Iron Serpent battle, Yoshito and Fuyune played more significant roles. Therefore, there is a compatibility factor between attackers and monsters, so if the two of them want to get even stronger, he can rest easy even when he is not there to help. As they are practicing and Kogura is giving them a hard time, Ryudo notices one thing. Even though they have been training with real weapons, Kogura still hasn't taken a single hit, which makes his power more evident. Both Ryudo and Yoshito are now frustrated, so they try to attack Kogura together but stop when they see him smirking. Their jaws drop when Kogura reveals that he is going to dominate this area with intense flames. Whereas, when the training gets over, Kogura praises them for their improved coordination, but mentions that the coordination is of no use if they don't win, though. However, he explains that winning or losing against him doesn't matter because what is important is that they can unleash their strength in the Demon Tower. Days pass by, and now the operation, Demon Tower Zeus, is available, and its details too. The organization is accepting participation requests from adventurers. Ryudo is kind of worried, but now claims that this time he will definitely protect his subordinates in the Ice Blossom Squad. A few days later, at the volunteer examination venue of Zeus Assault Mission, the speaker announces that they will now have the director personally assess the abilities of all the volunteers, as based on the result of this exam, they will be assigned to different operation areas. In another environment, Rito Fuyune is shocked by seeing the two figures, as she didn't expect them to come. She then asks them to show her how much stronger they have become, as she wonders if they could show her. And those two people are none other than Mana and Yuri.